welcome everyone to the July the 9th, 2026 Asheboro City Council meeting. First order of business, I'll ask that everybody please stand and join me in silent prayer, and followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. And I'd like for everyone to keep in mind, or keep in their prayers, former Police Chief Gary Mason's mother passed away. Nancy was today. And so Gary served the city a long time. He's a good friend to a lot of folks in here. Just want everybody to keep him in his prayers. Thank you. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, before we start on the public comment period, I would like to recognize Councilman Swears, who has a very special greeting.
I'm rise to a point of preference and introduce one of my grandsons, Charles Parker. Charles is a senior at Asheboro RCC Early College Program. I apologize, make sure we get that right. Charlie's here fulfilling one of his equal project requirements, and we're tickled to death to see him. Thank you, Charlie. Okay.
Okay, I think we have two distinct groups tonight.
It appears, yes, sir.
We have folks concerning dogs. Can you raise your hand? Okay, I'll tell you, golf course. Okay, I'll tell you what we're gonna do. We're gonna do we'll do the dogs first, okay, and then we'll come to the golf course. What this is now, this is not a public hearing. This is your 3 minutes to share with us your concerns or anything regarding what's going on in Asheboro and what you think we might help you with. It's not a question and answer. If it's a simple answer, we'll do it. If it's a question that needs to find an answer, it will be written down and the answer will be found, and you can call the city or the city will contact you, okay? I would ask that everybody stay on task. Also, don't have a repetitive thing. We don't need everybody to say anything. And I'll give you an opportunity to acknowledge that you're behind all that, okay? All right, so when you come up, whoever leads the way, when you come up, if you will state your name and print your name on the pad, there's a pad up there, right? And that's for the record, so we'll keep the minutes correct, okay? So the podium is open.
My name is Lori Hunt. So I stand before you today not only as someone who cares deeply about animals, but as someone who works in animal welfare and who has witnessed this problem firsthand over the last 12 years. Our local Walmart parking lot has become a revolving door for the sale of puppies and kittens. During my time in animal control, I have rescued hundreds of animals from this one location, and yet the cycle never ends. I've seen puppies kept in the shopping carts, in the trunks of cars, left in hot cars, sitting in scorching asphalt in the direct sunlight for hours. Many have no access to water. They're often flea infested. They're too young to be separated from their mothers, and they've never received vaccinations or basic veterinary care. I have personally witnessed someone buy a puppy from this very parking lot, allow it to be irresponsibly bred, give that dog away, and turn around and sell the puppies that they got in the same parking lot. This is the cycle that we're allowing to continue. Let's be honest. Responsible, reputable breeders are not selling puppies in the Walmart parking lot. These sales encourage backyard breeding, they contribute to pet overpopulation, and they make it easier for people to profit from animals with little regards to their health or welfare. Meanwhile, the shelters, rescues, and animal control are left to deal with those consequences. This isn't about responsible breeding. It's not even about the larger debate over breeding restrictions or spay and neuter laws. It's about stopping inhumane and unethical roadside animal sales that put animals at risk from the moment they're born. Okay? North Carolina has already recognized the danger of these sales. In 2007, our state expanded animal welfare protection and established standard for the sale of dogs and cats at flea markets and specialty markets because animals sold in temporary locations deserve the oversight deserve better oversight and protection. Yet today, we continue to see the same animal types of pop-ups animal sales taking place in our parking lots. There's little accountability and virtually no protection for these animals or for the families purchasing them. We need to recognize that the unintended consequences for these compassionate people who are actually buying these animals, they think that they're helping. So while their hearts are in the right place, every purchase creates the demand for more of these litters. This creates a risk for the people who are taking these animals home too. Fleas, parasites, parvovirus. It's not just putting our people at risk, it's putting the families that are taking these animals at risk. And while they're trying to do the right thing, the consequences are often heartbreaking. So our community deserves better. Our animal shelters deserve better. And most importantly, our animals deserve better. So I ask that you take action to prohibit the sale of dogs and cats in that parking lot and other roadside locations. Doing so would reflect the spirit of North Carolina's animal welfare protection, help break this cycle of irresponsible breeding, and protect both our animals and the people of the community, because doing nothing guarantees the cycle continues. Taking action now gives us the opportunity to break it. And if you guys get the chance afterwards, I have a Walmart puppy in the parking lot. It is my personal dog that I rescued, and he's completely deaf and he has 3 legs. He is a result of our Walmart problem. Thank you.
Thank you. Everyone supports all those opinions, I know. Yes.
I'm gonna squeeze up here in between the dogs and the golf, if you don't
Okay,
mind.
Tom, so I missed you.
No problem, I
No,
snuck
I
in.
didn't see you slipping after me.
No
Okay.
problem, no problem. I hope everybody's doing all right. Let me sign this
And
real quick.
he's got to go, and we told him, I saw him the other day, and I said, get in, we'll get you out, okay? This is a public service message.
Thank you so much, thank you so much. All right, my name is Ty Bruley. I was born here in Asheboro, and I spent 35 of my 45 years right here. I'm a 2005 graduate of Appalachian State, and I've been a visual and audio artist for 2.5 decades. I brought this city dozens of firsts in that time period within the realm of arts, entertainment, and culture, and which is why I'm here. Back in 2024, as a program and event director, I brought our city its first ever film festival. International in scale, we had over 1,000 attendees that first year, but estimated right at 70% of those were from outside the city, state, and even country. We had 100 titles in that schedule to provide our audience with a wide array of film choices, along with an opening night concert, comedy hour, double feature, and award ceremony that also has a segment focused specifically on Asheboro area arts, culture, and entertainment. We have built a very strong foundation in an event that I am confident will become a mainstay in our city with permanent status, holding annual festivals, which is already becoming one of the best in the state in just 3 years. And in my personal goal set is for it to be one of the best in the nation within 10 years. With the experience and networking I have amassed in those decades, this is a real possibility. It isn't just a dream anymore. Thanks to Taylor and Jonathan at the City of Asheboro Cultural and Recreational Services, the wheels are in motion. I stand strong in this commitment that the legitimate film festival such as ours is a necessity in a city like Asheboro. It makes too much sense, and the beautiful resources we have right here, such as Sunset Theater, the flourishing Sunset Avenue and downtown district, and the geographical location of Asheboro itself in the center of the state. We are now in our 3rd year, and our growth and recognition throughout the state of North Carolina in the filmmaking communities has been incredible and flourishing. We have prolific filmmakers in the Wilmington, Raleigh, and Winston area that's been present in all 3 of our years. However, right here at home in Asheboro, we haven't been very well recognized. I think that's because to our citizens, the film festival is a relatively new concept. And also, there isn't a lot of room in the budget for something so new, so I'm working highly off my personal relationships with the industry in hopes to balance that in the future. So really, I feel like it comes down to the leaders of our city to see the benefits of offering this type of event to our people, learning about what it is in the program and helping spread the word and get them excited and educated about what a festival like this is. This year, we have over 30 short films that have been shot here in North Carolina in that program, which takes place August 7th through the 9th of this year, which is right around the corner. All these films, of these 30 short films, the directors, producers, and cast members from those films are all coming to Asheboro. They plan to come here. They plan to plan to attend to get to know our city and its people, and also to engage them in conversations right after the film on stage at the Sunset Theater. It's a credible opportunity. It's magical, and I hope more people take advantage of this and learn more about how beneficial a film festival can be here in Asheboro. I appreciate y'all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I like your shirt.
Thank you.
Okay, sorry for the interruption. Please, come right ahead. If you would, like I said, sign, state your name.
Is there a pen?
Is there a pen or something?
There was one.
Sorry, man, that's all right.
I'm sorry.
That's one way to get recognized. Yeah.
And good evening. I'm Lisa Sparks, and I'm with Happy Hills Animal Foundation. We are actually a nonprofit, state-licensed animal shelter here in Randolph County. We're over in the Staley area. We were established in 1982, so we've been in the animal welfare world in this area in our community for almost 45 years. We have a lot of programs and things for the community, vaccine programs, different things. In turn, the community reaches out to us when they see an issue or that's something that they're upset about. And the issue at the Centerpoint Plaza at the Walmart parking lot has become a growing and growing issue over the years because we're seeing and having people call in reports to us. Send messages, send pictures on Facebook of puppies sitting crammed, crowded into small cages, sitting on the hot asphalt or in the freezing temperatures down there. There are, big concerns with that. These puppies are unvaccinated, most of them, any that I have seen.
It's a shortcut.
Yes, it's a very short cut. They're unfortunately coming from the, lack of a better word, backyard breeders in the community. It's a quick, easy outlet to sell puppies with nothing in them. So the puppies are suffering. The public are, these vendors are kind of transient. So there's no accountability. So if you purchase a puppy at Walmart, you go home with your puppy. That puppy breaks sick with a virus such as, let's say, parvovirus or distemper. You go back to the seller. Well, they're not there because it's kind of a transient market. The way the state of North Carolina general statute represents it is actually, because it's in the general statutes, under pop-up specialty markets instead of because they're very specific on cat and dog sales in flea markets and also these pop-up specialty markets in parking lots and roadsides. That protects the animals, protects the consumers, protects the public. We've recently had a situation where puppies were purchased in order to, there was a litter of 12 doodle mix puppies. Those puppies, they were all sold except for 3. A resident of Randolph County or of Asheboro, I think the family lives in Asheboro. They saw the puppies, they felt bad for them, they purchased the puppies. The puppies, they really didn't want the puppies, they were saving the puppies. Well, they contacted Happy Hills, so we took the puppies because we are a licensed North Carolina animal shelter, and we placed them into quarantine, which is protocol. Within 24 hours, all 3 of those puppies broke with parvovirus, which is a horrific disease that can be fatal to puppies, especially those that have no vaccines already. These puppies had parasites, they had parvovirus. One of them had a fractured leg when arriving to us out of that parking lot.
I have no doubts.
Oh, yes,
that-
it's, yes.
that what you, I mean, with what
Yes.
you're saying.
So those were the
Anybody who's
examples.
been through there has seen that. Now,
Yes.
I know, I saw our city attorney writing down when you were mentioning that over there.
Mm-hmm.
And, because the city has limited, and this is for you guys to jump in, but we talked about this. It has come
Mm-hmm. Yes.
up recently. It's not like, you've been calls up here and then it's been examined, and I may need to turn it over. Well, I should turn it over to Donald and Tom here, because I know that it's private property. And I don't know, and I'm not asking you, not that you should have, but has anybody contacted Tricor? Or we can do it probably.
Yeah, we have reached out to the owners, trying to get them to sign an order that would allow us
That
to.
allows
Right.
us to do it. We
Yeah.
can't go over there, but with what you say, we may be able to do it under that
That's the
statute.
quickest.
Yeah, because
that's
there
the
is,
quickest
and I
way.
have a handout for everybody after my comment, and I can give that to the clerk to hand out. And it does have a copy of that general statute in it, and it is specific on either on these pop-up specialty markets.
Well, that would be helpful, because if you push them away from there, they're gonna go somewhere else.
Well, they are.
That's the highest traffic area, which, that's, but.
That is
but
true.
They'll end up somewhere else, but if we have something else to do that, and they know they're persistent, then they'll be in another town. Doesn't make it any better for the animals, but at least we'll know around here, the animals that are.
That's
really
right, yes.
in better
Because
care.
I was going to mention that of course, we're speaking specifically about the issue at the Centerpoint Plaza, the Walmart
Right,
parking
right.
lot here in Asheboro, here tonight. But the rest of the county has already, of Randolph County, has already started enforcing some of the, like the 311 flea market, no longer is allowed to sell pets, cats and dogs. There was a,
Well, with any of that, it's gonna be imperative that people
Yes.
notify, because, the city can't be everywhere.
Oh,
It will be
absolutely.
imperative, and that's
Yes.
that's how you're gonna ultimately do it, same,
oh, absolutely.
So, and I'm sure it is on our radar.
what
It's not
Thank
just on
you.
our radar.
What is
it-
the statute you're referencing?
It is, wait a minute, I'm about to tell you, because I have it right here. Because there's a couple different ones. One is, North Carolina General Statute 1330, Animal Welfare Act, sales at flea markets. And then, the updated statute, 1330, sale of dogs and cats at specialty markets, which was amended, March 21st, 2007. So it's been in effect for a little while.
Well, and
But-
that's why it's important for y'all to bring it to us, because.
Yes.
I tell people constantly, all the people on the council do when we speak and
Mm-hmm.
everything, if we don't know, we can't do something about it.
Absolutely.
And so, call us and let us know, and if something doesn't happen, call us back, and we'll
let
go
us know.
together and find out why it's not. But I will
Absolutely.
guarantee you that it's something will be addressed.
Well,
okay?
thank you so much, because,
appreciate you being here.
thank you, because we're getting lots of, I think the community, it's just,
I know.
it's kind of outraged
I've
with
seen
it.
I don't like, I know.
And I'm sure if you've driven down there, you've seen
I've
it.
seen it. I've
It's not
seen
going to
it.
be, something that anybody wants to
It's not, and
see.
it's not fair to the other people that are doing it the right way,
Absolutely.
you know?
Well, thank you so much.
Can I see your paper real quick, so I'll make sure I got the.
Yes, absolutely.
Is there anyone else who wants to add something that hasn't been discussed yet? Well, good. Thank y'all for being here tonight. We hear you, and like I said, they're gonna look into it. And,
Thank you,
and we're all, I think, I don't speak for the council, but I know, I'm pretty sure everybody here does not like that practice. And so we'll stay diligent on that and do our best, okay? All right? If y'all would like to leave now, or if you'd say, like, to talk about the golf course, you're welcome. Council, we're just gonna sit here for a couple of minutes.
Sounds good.
We're still live on the air, but
Thank you for being here.
Thank you all.
thank y'all.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you for coming.
All your friends, aren't you, Charlie? You got your closest friends with you. Did you take a shower before you got here? There you go. Well, I know you went and got pork chops. I heard that today. I know you did.
Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
Appreciate your concern.
Thank you.
Okay, we're moving on to the golf course. We're going to deviate a little bit from it. Everybody's going to have a chance to say what they'd like to say. Well, let me wait just a second longer. Oh, yeah. I thought he was here for the golf course. Good job, Trevor.
John got it.
There we go.
Made it, John.
Okay. What I want to do is, I've got a couple of slides. I want to explain how the rate structure, how it was changed, how we arrived at it, and have a few comments about it. And then everybody who wants to say something can certainly say something. We look at the budget every year, and we look at it into totally. We don't go, it's not broken out as golf course, swimming pool, park, that type of stuff. Ms. Reeves gives us a stack of paper, and the city manager and everything like that. First and foremost, nobody wants to raise property taxes, okay? So how do you get around that? You go and get other sources of revenue, which the city has been wonderful. Trevor, Addie Porter, Nate, and everybody getting grants and that type of stuff to offset the cost. Also, then you go through your budget and find out where there's money being spent. It doesn't get all the analyzed directly or completely in every area. But when you put it all together, if you'll look over here on the right-hand side, it's over the last 3 years. The green at the bottom is the revenue, the average revenue that the golf course is bringing in. The red is their expenses, okay? The yellow are the losses. So you can see the V shape in that. Last year's loss at the golf course was $412,000, or $413,000, rounded up. Next one. So, in looking at that, and you do a dollar analysis and everything like that, and now and do the number of rounds based on what was done this year. And I know the first thing that came to my mind is, well, if you're going to raise it, they're not going to play that many rounds. Granted, but to keep a constant as far as that, you take the rounds at the new rates, and it produces that amount of revenue you see there. That means the projected loss this year would be $88,000. Now, I will tell you, this is an amenity of the city, as is every other thing, the swimming pools, the parks, and all that. These are not break-even propositions for the city. Okay, it's not a money-making proposition. And yes, taxes go to all those things, and it helps because it's open to everybody in the city. But what you got, the lion's share of the taxes it has to be balanced between everything. So that is how that was arrived. That is how the numbers were done. It was at 2. We had 2 open meetings. We had they were open to everybody. We had budget studies. We were aware that there was going to be fees increases, but we don't look at everything as a line item. And I tell you all that to let you know that this was not a rash decision, a knee-jerk decision, a money grab, because you can see it's not. It's trying to defray some of the cost. And we're not going to close that golf course, because this is unemotional, hard numbers, okay? Now let's factor in the emotion that all y'all are feeling, I'm feeling, I grew up in that golf course. It's a part of a lot of people's lives, a daily lives. And I understand that, and it's certainly not our intention to make it any worse or make it any harder. I have some of you, quite a few of you have written me letters, and I have told you, I have shared that with you, and I have said, we've got 6 months until the memberships run out. My pledge to y'all and the council's pledge is we will review it. We will look at it. Can't make a promise, but we will promise, if there's a compromise we can come up with out there. And I have had discussions with Mr. Parks, and he knows probably more about that golf course. I don't know how much money he's won down there, but it's a bunch. Might put his kids through school, all that kind of stuff. But I value, and we value your opinions. And I grew up playing down there too. It's a part, and so I put all that in preface to let you know that we are going to continue to try to work with you. We're going to try to come to an agreement. Don't know what that agreement will be. There's going to be some back and forth. I know you shared some good ideas. It's way in it. We got to look at how we can maximize return on that investment. And I know there are missed opportunities right now. You know, we are not a golf course per se. We are a municipal part of a rec system golf course. And that's not an excuse. That's just what we are. And we're going to be doing this in other areas and everything. And, you know, that, I just want to know that I wanted that to be shared, to know how we reach these conclusions. And now, if anybody would like to come up and talk, like I said, come up, state your name, write it down,
Rodney Ratliff. I grew up playing over at Municipal, but I've noticed one thing here in the last few years. Asheboro's put all this money in to draw in to keep the copperheads or zookeepers, whatever they're called. There ain't been no money put in this golf course as far as upgrading it. But yet the price is going up. I've been playing there since I was this tall. You know, I mean, I grew up in Asheboro. I live 3 minutes away from the course. You're forcing my hand now to go out to pay money to somebody that's not part of the city and pay the same price and play 18 different holes. We pay the same price to play the same holes back to back. I mean, you know.
Hey, I get it.
Cut a deal. I mean,
I get it, but.
You want your loyal people to stay. I mean,
Well, sure.
it'll hurt bad if all of us said, okay, fine, you're gonna raise the price of that. We can go out here to Asheboro Country Club, pay the same price and play different holes.
Well, that's certainly your choice.
I mean, I know. I mean, I ain't being.
Yeah, I don't mean, but I
Yeah,
don't mean that the way it sounded, but
Right.
what you have to, I mean, it's been that way since 2002. You can't pay anything. You can't name me one thing, unless it's an old iPod or something, but,
Right.
you know, you can't pay what you did in 2002 for anything.
Oh no.
And if anything, if the city owes you apologies for not raising those prices incrementally over those years, you know?
This is like a
because
shock.
we ran into it with water, we run into it on several things.
Oh, we understand that it all happened when people wanted $15 an hour to flip a burger, and they can't even get the order right. But, you know, that's where all this increase came to.
Well, you have our word that we're gonna look at it. And that's the best we can do. We're willing to look at it and try to work it out.
All right.
And,
I'm Connor Gerald, and I just want to toss around some ideas here. And this is coming from a guy who loves to advertise for Asheboro. If you don't know me, I'm surprised from social media because I'm everywhere, whether you love me or you hate me. If you're a local joint in Asheboro, you have my support. I'm an advocate for all the anything local Asheboro. Commercial, you're over here, give me your mom and pop shops. To me, the municipal golf course is like a mom and pop shop to me because am I good at golf? Absolutely not. Do I love to go out there and hack it around with my buddies? Absolutely. But what the golf course is missing is there's missed opportunities. Like, unfortunately, I had to go all the way to the basement to use the restroom because there ain't one up here. But
There is one in there, but
I didn't know, so I did the right thing. But there's so many missed opportunities there. Like you go to Blair Park, you can go to Oak Hollow. There are also city-ran golf courses that have food availability. I can't tell you how many times I've made the turn at 9 to go to Speedway, and I walk over there to get a hot dog and a drink, and honestly, also alcohol. So I'm not saying to enforce alcohol into the golf course, but you could have hot dogs. There's opportunities to make extra money that's untapped potential. I mean, the pro shop ain't changed in my entire life. You walk in there and you have your old standardized drink machine, stack machine, and then you got your couches to the right. It's just wasted space. So why don't we, roller dogs can't be that expensive to buy. Have hot dogs rolling on there, $2 a dog. That's money in the bank, man. That's free money. I would do it myself if I could at work. So many guys would love it. So tap into the untapped potential to make more revenue because, I mean, granted, I can't deny the number, or could we? I don't know. I don't know if, the city of Asheboro is using the municipal set golf equipment and other jobs or not, I can't speak on that fact because I don't work for the city, but I can speak on the fact there is untapped potential that Blair Park can do and at Ocala can do. And let's be honest with you, Asheboro is a hell of a lot better, I'm sorry, than High Point. Is anybody disagree with that statement? Asheboro is a great town, dude. I love this city, man. So let's try to tap into what we can to help, just create revenue at the municipal. Because there's no option, I mean, other than a drink machine or a $35 pack of or 35-cent pack of nabs. Like, let's try to do something to also create revenue besides the golf aspect. Everywhere else does it. Why not the municipal?
And I'm sure that will be in our review.
I think that would be a good idea. It's a cheap investment.
But
I think the return would be better. It'll definitely give you money.
Right.
I mean, if I could sit out there with a cooker and cook hot dogs for everybody, I would. You know what I'm saying? If we could, get the golf course the money. But I just feel like there's a lot of untapped potential that we, well, not me, but that could be done. So I appreciate y'all.
Thank you.
Yes, sir, man.
Appreciate you.
I hate speaking in front of people.
Take a breath. You're good. You're good.
I'm going to just read what I have studied up and been thinking on for the last 3 weeks, but I appreciate the PowerPoints and all that. My name is Kirby Moffitt. As a lifelong resident of Asheboro, I'm writing to express my concern regarding the recent price increases and policy changes at our golf course. Excuse me. Pull it together, buddy. The decisions to eliminate membership offerings or significantly increase rates disproportionately affects our senior citizens who rely on this golf course for exercise and social connection. Given our local median income, these prices are unsustainable, especially considering that 5 nearby 18-hole golf courses have better rates and senior discounts than our 9-hole golf course. I urge the city to reconsider these hikes and reinstate membership options, perhaps by grandfathering the senior players in. While I understand concerns regarding weekend volume, I am confident a compromise can be reached. These residents have worked hard their entire lives, and this course provides them with a vital sense of purpose and community. They deserve the opportunity to play regularly during the week. To achieve profitability, management, and marketing deficiencies must be addressed. For instance, the city website still lists an incorrect golf professional, and many residents are unaware that memberships exist due to lack of advertisement. Furthermore, despite a reported $350,000 annual deficit over the last 3 years, there have been questionable expenditures, such as $10,000 for new signage, while the clubhouse remains outdated and understocked. Currently, the clubhouse space is not being utilized to generate profit, which could significantly help reduce the deficit. This golf course is not operating efficiently and could be managed so much better. The course has real potential, but it requires meaningful changes that support our community. This historic Donald Ross designed course has the potential to be a hidden gem, but it requires professional management and a strategic shift to survive. I believe the current changes will damage the course's financial position rather than improve it, unless that is what we've wanted to do the entire time with hopes of selling it to a developer. The final decision made by this council will demonstrate its integrity and willingness to work with the community, because the city of Asheboro owns the golf course. The city is responsible for its success. However, since the course and the deficit are funded by tax dollars, the community deserves a say in these matters. I encourage all council members to visit the course on a Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Saturday to witness the fellowship among our regulars. I urge you all to reconsider the proposal of no membership option and the price hikes, as these will harm the future of this course. I hope you will prioritize the long-term health of this community amenity over short-term financial gains. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
How y'all doing today?
Good.
All right. My name is Cameron Harris, and I want to read the mission statement for the city. It says, to provide the citizens of Asheboro with excellence in leadership, fiscal management, municipal service, and to create meaningful and appropriate opportunities for citizens, participate and improve the quality of life for all. Now, as far as a golf course, I love it. It was a senior project for me. I've been here 20 years of my life, and I'm 33 now. And one of the first things I wanted to do when I got here was play golf. And when I got there, the guys were helpful, and it was just a convenient place. Now, I've spent my time I spent 13 years at the tennis courts, and I've watched them go from cracks and creeks to being completely remodeled with the prices not changing very much. I believe it's $3. And, you know, I used to work for the city, so it was like $3 just at night to use the lights. Other than that, anybody could come and play tennis or, you know, skateboard or, you know, anything like that, which they built one across the street that doesn't really serve much of a purpose. But anyways, what the golf course does for me as far as for life, I'm a big guy, 325 pounds. I was almost 4. I go to the golf course, and it's convenient for me because I can easily go to the gym and give them, you know, $30 a month or whatever it is, but I go to the golf course, and I exercise effortlessly, and I've lost 25 pounds just recently going to play golf. And it, you know, as a African-American, high blood pressure is something that really affects us, and it's really changed for me just walking the golf course. I've lived in Asheboro most of my life, and I've moved to High Point. I've driven 25 minutes just to come and play at the municipal course because it's more convenient, and I love the fellowship there. So, you know, the changes, I mean, you know, I don't know everything, and I've never seen it before until now. I mean, this does suck, and I agree with what he said earlier that we can make some changes. One of them is paying those guys all that money. Now, I don't know all of that, but paying those guys all that money to sit in there and not do anything, I worked for the city.
I'll stop you right there. We're not here to critique employees or
I'm
anything
not.
like that.
I'm not.
Okay.
I'm not. I've worked for the city, and, you know, I know what I had to do when I worked for the city. But I was just more or less saying that an idea would be to have those guys do more stuff to help out the golf course because it benefits them too as well. You know, it's not just a job, it's a way of living, not for just us, but everybody. So one of the ideas is open up other ideas. You know, no, he's not the only one that's walked to the Speedway to go get a bag of chips and a drink, or hey, call somebody up and say, hey, Taco Bell's right here, bring me a taco or something, because there's no food at the golf course. I know half the carts can't carry me because they start putting, but I never said a word because it's you know, it's affordable. It's $10 a walk and $25 for 18 or whatever it is. And, you know, there's a lot of things that the golf course ain't perfect, but none of us have ever said anything about it because it was like, this is the most affordable golf course ever. We cannot complain. You know, and like I said, I don't know everything, but I do know that.
I will tell you that a lot of the folks that are here, I don't know how decisions were made in the past. None of us do, you know. We can only address what's sitting in front of us
Right.
now. You know, we can't look back, and I know it's been that way for a long time. I hear you. We all hear you. We understand it. We do. And like I said earlier, we're going to do our best to look at it and see if we can find a compromise.
Yeah.
The door is not closed, okay?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, but I mean, the honest truth is, it's going to go up. Now, how it's going to go up and how it's going to be structured may be totally different than that. Just, you know, that's why it went in the budget that way, but we're going to explore it in more depth.
Yeah, I just think that the no membership, and if you do the math of playing every day, me and this guy or this guy play 4 times a week. You do the math of that, and I mean, how can anybody afford that when golf is a part of your life?
Sure, I get it. That's
You know
what
what I
I'm
mean?
saying.
So-
It is.
So that, you know, I just wanted to bring my attention here, you know, as someone that's been here for some years and put my time in, you know, and
We appreciate you coming.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you.
Sure, yeah.
What time of day do you play golf?
Well, I'm a working man. I go to work when people are dreaming, and I go home when people are eating dinner. So I like to get it in as soon as I can. Like sometimes I get there at 2, sometimes I get there at 3, sometimes 4, and sometimes I ain't leaving until it's completely dark, because they never run us off. They just say, just try to get off as soon as you can. But some of us are out there and can't see the ball and still hitting it. You know what I mean? We can't see the ball, we're still hitting it because we love to play the scores.
Some of you can see the ball, still can't hit it, right?
Hey, but you know what? As somebody that's been here, I'm 33 years old and I've never been in trouble a day in my life. It's because I put so much time in the recreational system around here. 13 years on a tennis court, 20 years at the swim pool, and I had to jump in and save my daughter the other day. I called about that. Golf course, senior project, and here I am, 33 years old, still playing. I mean, I put my time in, and I love it. I can easily go somewhere else, but I like it here because it's convenient and it's affordable and it just fits everybody's schedule.
Well, we appreciate you being here tonight and sharing that with us.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming.
Did you sign in?
Oh, I didn't. Let me.
Thank you.
All right.
Okay, anybody else like to address the council with any different perspective or thoughts? I was waiting for you to come here and talk about the dogs.
Yeah.
But you're retired from that life.
Yeah, it's my turn, I guess. Nobody else wants to come up here.
You could have danced, you could have spoke for both. You could have spoke both ways, yeah.
Most of you know me, I think, and most of you know that my wife likes me to get out of the house as often as possible. And this golf course gives it a good opportunity. But I want to thank you for letting us speak and giving us time. We all understand that the prices have not increased in some time. And that's not the golfer's fault.
You're right.
That falls back on previous councils. And so I think we all know that there's a necessary need for an increase in rates. But I think the increase, which hasn't occurred over several years, has caused this dramatic or larger increase to be considered. Another consideration that we need to think about when you're looking at golf courses is we have a beautiful, very nice, historic golf course, but it's a 9-hole golf course. There's a difference in a 9-hole golf course and an 18-hole golf course. And that makes it different. The only other comparable, and I know this apples and apples is not what you need, but the only other comparable 9-hole course in the area is Gillespie in Greensboro. And you can pay 18 holes there for $17. I don't know when that went up or when it goes up,
Cart?
but that's comparable.
Is that a senior rate?
That's a senior rate.
Senior rate. Okay.
Senior rate. Well, I'm a senior.
24
That's
regular.
right. So that's what you got going. Look, and then that's not, to say that we should do $17. It's just to say, for comparison's sake, that's what you're looking at. And there are other courses there that are more economical rates than the city course with the new rates. Example, private 18-hole course, Holly Ridge. You can play there as a senior for $40. And they have free range balls and things, which if you go to a course and pay for those at $8 to $9, so that brings their price, if you use the range balls, that brings their price at a private course. It's a course that is very popular and well-known throughout the state, down below what $35 is. So that's looking. Blair Park, as some of them mentioned, is, I think, now, for me, the last time I played was $30. It's an 18-hole course. And in the winter months, the colder months, that rate drops down to $20. So that, the times when it's popular to play, it's higher. But when the weather's bad, looking back, then it is reduced. Now, if some of these figures are incorrect, I apologize, but these are the ones that I have paid myself, looking back. Thomasville has an 18-hole golf course, city-owned golf course, it is 25 for a senior to play. I am talking seniors here. High Point also offers a discount card, which they sell at the first of the year. It currently is $50. You buy that card in the wintertime when they need a little, generate more income because people are not playing as much. And that gives you throughout the year a $5 discount each time that you play. That's an option that could be considered to maybe, so you get some and then you get more. And so, I'm saying $50 there, you can charge $100 for those people that pay a lot more. That's a consideration.
Are you aware if they have member fees, or they have memberships at these?
They do have membership. I'm not aware of what it is.
Okay.
I'm not a member. I think,
Well, that's one thing we.
I think that you have to be a resident of High Point to get a membership at their Ocala and Bear Park. That would have to be checked out. I'm not positive about that. But that is one thing that, you could look at. Considering the expense, looking at, we have a 9-hole golf course. These others that I mentioned have an 18-hole golf course, so they're maintaining twice as much territory, they're mowing twice as much, they're using twice as much chemicals, and those type of things. So, how much, I don't know if Donald has checked into what, their rates and what they're paying and where they're getting it from, but that is a consideration, if your figures are correct, then we'd be losing $600,000.
I think we need to go back and add where you see the facilities maintenance number, that's just for materials only. That has no labor in it. So that number would actually be another $200,000 to $300,000 more.
Okay, well, that's, I'm not aware of all of those.
Taxpayers are subsidizing to the tune of maybe $700,000 a year.
Okay, and is that?
That's what we really need to understand, is all that staff is not paid for by the memberships. You only have 70 or so members left. So the revenue simply isn't there, and membership takes up 40% of the playing time.
So maybe we could look at some, if these other cities that have city-owned golf courses, checking with them and seeing, what.
That's part of what we're talking about.
Where you going?
We did do a rate comparison. We're right in line with all those other rate comparisons. Everything you said, our rates are almost matched. We might be higher just slightly on one, but on the others, we're right at are the same. So it puts us in the market.
Okay.
Now, we did not do memberships, as some of them are, but they also have tee times that are scheduled, whereas our tee times are open. And that's part of if you want to know what started this research, was that the folks that can't get on the course are the ones that brought the complaint to the city and says, we can't get on the course because there's a certain group that plays every day. And that's why we started looking at it. And so then you start looking at the numbers of a small few that are taking most of the time. When you look at the ratio of 70 members are taking up 40% of the playing time, it's pretty simple math, guys. Now, I feel for you, I do, but we can't continue to subsidize to the tune of 3 or 4 cents on the tax rate.
What's the problem of having tee times? They have them on the weekend, they have them during the day. People will call. I've been down there, and people will call to get a tee time
Because it hadn't been that way.
and working back. People can
You know,
play,
nobody-
before the group
We
and
actually considered.
after the
This is
group.
the easiest method about not having memberships, and that way everybody has a fair shot. It equalizes it.
Well, they could, just like, I'm not gonna argue that point, but you said that we're approximately 16,000 tee time, or I say 17 up there. The information I got was a little over 16,000 rounds last year. Of that 16,000, approximately 5,000 were membership play. If you raise the rates to a point and those people quit coming, your revenue is gonna drop dramatically. They're not gonna play 4 days a
I would argue the
week.
opposite, because they're eating up the time. It's all about time. So if your members who are only 20% of your revenue, you can replace that 20% of revenue with just 10% new members, or just playtime. It's all about the management of time. If you lose memberships totally, this first week, for example, we had over 300 rounds played. in 100-degree heat and on a holiday. We actually increase play. We also increase revenue. Just the first week alone has already proven that it works. Now, I think council's agreed that they will continue to look at it, and there's nothing that says we can't adjust it, but the math doesn't lie. The government is subsidizing play for 70 people to the tune of about $3,000 per membership. That's what it equates to. Depending on how much you play, the more you play, the more that number goes up. I understand your plight, but you can't argue with the numbers. The rates, as the mayor said, should have been increased every year, and we should have kept maintenance up on the course. That is a failure of the past. I can't fix that. I can only move forward.
Well, thank you, Donald, for those explanations. And it's there, and it's all said. But, and looking at a few more options and things to look at, the membership, you know, you can increase that membership to whatever you would like to do it. But most private and public golf courses have a membership area. And, you know, you can do it for so much a month, you can do it so much a year, and generate that up. But I think eliminating the membership is going to be detrimental to the total, you know, over the period of time. That will be detrimental. You know, I can't prove that. I don't know that. That's just a feeling that I have. But if we'll, you know, if you'll continue to look at that. But the senior rate, every golf course, most every golf course has a senior rate. And the projections that I see, that there's been no accommodation made for that. As someone else said, some of us that are older, you know, we've been here for a long time. We've been paying city taxes for a long time. And that consideration, I think you'll benefit if you would come up with a fee for membership and see, you know, how many people would accept that as whatever fee y'all would determine would be appropriate. We know there's an increase. We know that's been a real deal for a long time. As I said, it's not this council's fault, but previous councils have not done their job in relation to this. And so that's where we need to look. But that's, the one thing is the membership. I wish you would look at that and come up with an appropriate fee. I think it will benefit everybody. And the other thing, and this is my stickler point. I'm a city taxpayer. I've paid taxes, as I say. I've been living in this town for almost 55 years now. And there's no consideration here for a taxpayer. Someone from Seagrove or Liberty can come in and pay the same rate I pay. So I'm paying twice. I think that is not fair. I don't think any of you think that's fair. I'm not saying we need to play free, but I'm saying that there should be a consideration for an in-city as opposed to an out-of-city. We got the rec card. They ask us every time we go down there to play, are you in the city or out of city? Out of city now pays $1 to a couple of dollars more, but not a lot more. So that is a consideration that I think that should be addressed totally. And that's where I look, and thank you for your time and consideration. Anybody got any questions for anybody that's hanging out here?
No, anybody got a question?
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Anybody else?
I just want to make one, I think I can, you can stand up.
Come up there, yes. And you did sign in earlier, right?
Yeah, I already did.
Okay,
Yeah.
make sure.
So I spoke to you earlier about it, but there's no advertisement for a Donald Ross golf course. You got people, you know, I'm sorry, but the whole city's fumbled the bag on the whole zoo thing. Like, in my opinion, there's no identification unless you, I mean, people know, yeah, I'm from Asheboro. Close to Green, the zoo? Yes. So, like, the city itself, granted, none of y'all are to blame for it, but there's no, like, identification unless you live here that know that there's actually a zoo here. My buddy moved down here from Virginia and had no idea there was actually a zoo and lions, like, right down the road from his house. And I think you should really advertise on the fact because people come out of the state. Golfers know Donald Ross. They know Mike Strantz. They know all these, great golf course designs. Tot Hill Farm has a sign. Asheboro Country Club has a sign. Asheboro Country Club is thriving right now, thank God, because I kind of lost hope for a while. But the city course, we need to advertise, hey, this is a Donald Ross design golf course somewhere. I don't know if it needs to be kind of near a Zoo Parkway area, if you could get an advertisement sign or something, at least to say, hey, less than a quarter mile from here is a Donald Ross design golf course.
I know that it's referred in several things, but not to the prominence that you're talking
Yeah,
about.
I think it'd be great just so people who are out of town that come down here to the zoo, they're here for the zoo, but there's a bunch of golfers too. I mean, North Carolina offers some of the, I've golfed everywhere. North Carolina golf is probably top tier in the whole United States, man. I mean, it's great golf around here. And I think that if some advertisement would just be through at it, I mean, my sister-in-law works at Bean Signs. We can work a deal. You know what I'm saying? Like, we can get a sign made, brother. Something, you know what I'm saying? Just to get some advertisement for out-of-towners. Now, I get it. The senior thing y'all are talking about, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Saturdays. But, dude, these guys are reluctant. I mean, they're there thriving, doing everything, man. I love to see it. Like, I'm not ever mad that they're playing golf. Like, I hope when I'm their age that there's not some 30-year-old little guy like myself mad because my grandpa is out there playing golf. Like, I love it. And I think, honestly, if there could be like a senior discount, man, or do something because these guys have kept it running.
Let me stop. That's what we're looking at.
Yeah, and I would appreciate
We're
it.
going to review everything and see what we can come up with.
That'd be awesome because
Do that. That's all. And that's the best way.
because we're all going to be there, man. Which I got about 30 years, and time passes by fast. But I think advertisement. It's never been. There's untapped potential, like I said earlier, and I think some advertisement might be very beneficial to let people know.
Somebody now in marketing. She's taking.
Marketing's great, man.
We're taking notes of everything.
Yeah, I just think that's like another untapped potential of like there's people. I have people that come out of state that have no idea that the municipal's even there. And I've told them, it's like, where's a good place to play golf? I was like, behind Taco Bell. There's no clear cut like, hey, there's a Donald Ross design golf course right here. So.
Well, thank you.
I'm long-winded, but I just want to sit there and I think that'd be something good.
Thank you.
Question for you. Do you guys ride or walk more when you're?
I'm fat. I ride.
Okay.
I walk 325 pounds. I walk.
Okay.
36.
I golf too, and I'm not good. When I get time, I go out there. But this information helps us.
Yeah.
What time do you guys?
Well, it'd be nice to have a twilight race because the working guys like us are normally getting there in the evening time. And to pay $18 to go out there and it's gonna get dark in an hour and a half, man, no, it's off the table for me.
Hold on. Joey, hear me out. Now stand back up. Now I'll be 30 seconds. This is gonna sound crazy.
I'm holding you 30 seconds.
30 seconds.
You've had your 3 minutes.
Oh, I did. I'm sorry. I've never been in this thing before. I love this. This is great.
Well,
Think about it.
elections in 2 years.
Dude, I know. No. My uncle's already been a mayor. I can't be a mayor. But what about lighting it up in twilight night golf?
Well, that's not.
Bro, how much?
That's great. That's great.
That would be great, man.
We really have to raise rates to put the lights in.
I'll pay for the lights.
Thank you. Have a seat.
Write that
down. Write that down.
Okay.
Write that down.
No. You pay. Down there at the zoo seats, the complex. You pay money for the lights to come on.
Well,
There's money right there too.
okay, this is the last thing.
So you're not
This is-
paying.
This is the last.
This is it right here.
That's what I heard. You're paying.
I will say.
I wish I had it.
All right, that's what I was hoping for.
I'm not in the management here.
I will say, like,
I know.
spending 13 years at the tennis courts, we've hosted events, and that brings in money. We have tournaments or competitions, and that brought in the money. You charge people to come in, just like the City Inn. You guys have over 100 people in that, but it's one time a year. if we have, like, I play also in a group that's called T2G, which is abbreviated for Trail to Glory. We play every other weekend. And we play at the municipal, we play at almost all the golf courses, and we pay the course fee, and then we have a $30 purse to the winner. And all of us show up every tournament. Everyone. We ain't professionals. We suck, we win, we lose, we spend money.
Well,
And these are the things that will
we hear
generate
you.
people.
Yeah, we hear you.
You know what I mean?
We hear you, and a lot of the, like I said, we've sort of gotten off the rails. I understand, I
Yeah.
appreciate you sharing it, I appreciate everybody coming and sharing it, and
definitely.
everything like that. But unless somebody's got something different to add, because some of this stuff is basically, we're talking about rates and that type of, come on up, Bruce.
Yeah, one thing that I've noticed about is over the years playing over there
This
is
is
that
Bruce Moffett, by the way.
I'm Bruce Moffett. The city schools use this golf course for their matches, and I understand that. I don't know how that's handled, whether that's a fee charged to the school system for any of that. But
I don't think so.
the carts are all go out for that match. Why doesn't everybody riding in those carts pay $20? Cart fee, pay cart fee to ride those carts. I don't think
talking
those
about parents or
yeah,
coaches,
the parents,
coaches?
yeah. Well, I'm all for if the city says, the city school system, they're not technically together, but if you're going to allow the school system to use that golf course for their home matches, other courses are used
That's a
for
good
other
point. That's
school
the stuff
systems.
that's
But
good.
the carts that go out, the carts that,
one day and I got brought from a cart because of the school match, and they just took off and never went in there.
the carts need to be paid for by the
Anytime they go
parents,
out, yeah.
because the parents are showing up and the course is closed to anybody that comes in the afternoon, like several of us. I go over there many times in the afternoon. I also play with the seniors. And I understand the over-domination by the seniors of the golf course. So there's gonna have to be some sacrifice made. Takes no more Saturdays. That's a pretty simple compromise. I'm sorry for the guys that work, that also play that senior group. I was in that same boat for several years before I retired, where I only got to play on Saturdays. But it's another point of compromise.
Thank you, Bruce. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor, council members. I'm Bill Hill, and I play in the senior group. And I have been on 3 different occasions in the golf business, a couple times in the pro shop and once turf management. I don't have an exact number, but, and I'm sure y'all are aware that the fixed costs are probably, so I would say 90% of your budget is fixed. It doesn't matter whether you have 5 people play or 150 or 200 people play. You still have to pay for the chemicals, you have to pay for the fertilizer, you have to pay for your labor, you have to pay for the electricity in the pro shop. So you're dealing with a high fixed cost. I would say it's somewhere around 90%, maybe even higher than that. I'd like for y'all to keep that in mind. Your demand curve is elastic. As we've heard, there are other courses in the area that people can play nearby for at the same cost, but they get double the amount of holes to play. It's a great course. I love walking the Donald Ross course. I played in college in Laurinburg, went to St. Andrews, played down there, and golf is an integral part of my life. And the senior groups, it's been a real blessing to me. It's like my church away from church. I play in the Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. We circle up. We lift the community up in prayer, and our family and friends. We lift up 3 or 4 times a week. We're lifting everybody up in prayer. I think the new projected loss, $88,044. I don't agree with that. I think what you're going to find is that elasticity is going to come in there and it's going to bite you. think people are gonna find other places to play. I think you can raise it up 25%. That might help, but I would recommend doing an incremental increase and then look and see how the demand unfolds. On the expense side, benchmark other communities or other golf courses. I look at that. I mean, the expenses don't look too bad, but, you know, can we find 50 somewhere? Can we find 100 somewhere? Do we use city water or can we use irrigation? I don't know all the ins and outs. I don't have the expenses out in front of me. But it's an elastic demand curve. People are going to leave, and that 88 you had up there. I don't think those numbers are going to pan out when you do the rate increase up to $18 just to walk. Riding 18 holes, $35. I think people are going to go elsewhere, and you're going to find yourself in a pickle. So thanks for letting me share.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you. Come on, Charlie.
My name's Charlie Parks. Been a resident of Asheboro since 1958 and started playing golf at the city golf course in 1958. I understand rates have got to go up, but I was flabbergasted when I saw that graph. That red line is going up sharply. And just doing the math, that's more than just inflation. Have you looked at what caused that tremendous increase in expenses over
That's part of
1
the
year?
review process.
I mean, was that things that were bought that are now in place? I know they bought new carts. They put up that net.
That netting down.
They did the,
That's in there? Yeah, that's what made that spike.
and they did the T markers. But,
Storm damage as well.
yeah,
Well,
if
as
it,
well.
any way they could, I know you want revenues to go up, but if there's any way to cut the expenses, that'd be great
Well,
too.
and that's what's
But,
we looked at in the compromise, you know.
Yeah. I just hate seeing the city golf course seen as a problem. It should be a source of pride for the city of Asheboro.
We didn't know it was a problem until we started looking at numbers. We love it. We looked at the numbers.
I guess people have been looking the other way for a while.
Well, Charlie and I have had a discussion when he brought up the fact that we've had several well-known PGA Tour people through here. Webb Simpson won a tournament.
Yeah, Webb since the U.S. Open played in the 13 and under and won. Last U.S. Open, there were two players. Akshay Bhatia, if you watch golf at all, he played here. And Jackson Van Paris qualified. And there's probably a couple others I hadn't looked up. But there's a great history there. So it's been here for 100 years, and surely we can figure out a way to keep it going. It would be a terrible loss if it started losing so much money the city couldn't afford it. But I'd almost like to see it designated as a historic site. And Gillespie just got $250,000 grant for their golf course. I don't know if there's grant money out there, if there's anything we could do along that line. But I know we're going to have to raise the prices, and I am a proponent of memberships. You play a lot. If you buy a membership, you do play more.
Sure.
Because you want to get your money's worth. And you can say, well, after so long you get it free. But that's the fact with any membership. And that's why you get a membership, so that you can save a little money on the end. But it's a wonderful place out there. And in defense of the people that work out there, they're all good. They're all great. And we do enjoy the tee times thing. The internet can cause a lot of uproar. And a couple of people came out there and couldn't tee off when they wanted to because they were told that these guys were playing. And we don't, sounds like we take up the golf course. We don't. We tee off at 9 o'clock. We're usually on the golf course by 9:45, and then there's tee times there, and then they come back around in the afternoon. So we've kind of, the senior group out there has kind of been pointed at as more of a problem than an asset. But we are out there, we're spending money now, and I know we need to spend more money, but I hope you can come up with a program that will not do what they were saying, where revenues decrease instead of increase, and we need to, and if there's anything you can do about that red line, that'd be nice.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, Charlie.
Thank you.
Okay, anybody else?
I'm not a resident of Asheboro, can I speak?
Sure. Come on up. You're an American, right? And you don't have to be an American. I'm just kidding. Strike that from the, clean the tape.
My name's James Cozart, and I moved here with my wife in 2012 from Gaston County to be near my son and my granddaughters. And I first bought the membership out here in, I think, 2020, maybe 2019. But my friends, I'm 79 years old, and my golf partners, now we generally only play 9. As a matter of fact, I've never played 18 holes at this golf course. We play 9 holes. We walk 9 holes, usually a couple of times a week. In the summertime, we would try to get over there early and play in front of the seniors. And then in the wintertime, we come about noon and play after they've made their turn and, fall in behind them and play. But we just play and walk our 9 holes. And with the non-resident membership, I pay about $400 a year. And with the new rate going at what we play, I would be paying about $2,800 a year, I think. So that, that's quite an increase or a hit to my golf budget. I have a budget of what I want to play golf, buying equipment or whatnot, but that would really cut into that. Also, I think you said there's 70 memberships, and I don't know how many of those memberships are actually senior citizens. Or is it, the majority of it seniors?
I don't know that it's broken out that way.
I don't think we have it broken down.
No.
I would like to see some type of a senior membership considered for people, especially people like me that only want to walk 9 holes a day. It takes us we're out there about an hour and a half. We're not taking up a lot of time, taking up a lot of space.
That's good.
But that's all I got to say.
Well, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Well, let me just close this by saying thank you for coming. I hope by what we've showed you that we have researched this, and there are some changes that are going to be coming. We were going to work to find a compromise if we can, and maybe contacting you, sir, and about a couple of ideas. And if you have some ideas and you want to share them, they'll be in the minutes from tonight. They'll be in the recording for tonight. You don't have to write all that down, but it will be. And like I said, we'll try to do what we can. We hear you, and thank you for coming out, and we appreciate y'all being here. And if y'all would like to leave now and not sit through anything else, you're welcome to do so.
Thank you, Charlie.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you for being here.
Appreciate you.
Hey, you sure you won't pay for those lights?
Yes, thank you. I appreciate you coming out.
I mean, the actual street.
Thank you for being
You
here.
install the lights.
Thank you.
Charlie's well.
Yeah.
My wife will tell you, I spend way too much time at the city golf.
And you also have time to sit in, Sam?
That's a good thing to be accused of.
I'm retired now, so
Yeah.
Might not have been good a few years ago.
That's a great thing to be accused of.
I don't know that.
It's okay. Thank you.
Send you a bill, Charlie.
It's well, the well that was there was more than 30 years old, and we just replaced it last year.
Awesome. I was making sure, because that'd be cost saving right there. City water, I'm about to be moving, I'm gonna be on city water, and I'm telling you, I'm distraught.
That's a different subject. You want to get up here and talk about that now?
But anyway, I appreciate y'all time.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else would like to address the council? Okay, we are going to move on. I believe that's the longest one we've had. If everybody got to say. Okay, at this time, we're going to deal with the old business. We're going to have a resumption of the legislative hearing that's been continued from May 7th and June the 4th. Case number RZ 26-06. And Mr. Evans?
Yes, sir, Mr. Mayor. Good evening, and good evening, everyone. So this,
How's your golf game, John?
I'm not sure, maybe 18 on the first hole.
You're better than most.
This case is a rezoning request for property located at 403 West Balfour Avenue, and that is also along Terry Avenue. That includes a portion of one parcel identification number. The request is to rezone the property from a general I-1 light industrial zoning district to an OA6 office apartment district for multiple family dwellings that are proposed. The applicant in this case is Harpley Properties LLC, and I will point out that all required notifications have been mailed by both the applicant and city staff. We have published the proper notice in the newspaper, and signs have been posted on the property, both along West Balfour and Terry Avenues. And the property is just under 13 acres in total. It is within the city limits. It is currently undeveloped, at least for this portion of the parcel. The remainder of that parcel identification number is a meat packing facility that's across Haskett's Creek. In terms of the road network here, West Balfour Avenue is considered a state-maintained minor thoroughfare, and Terry Avenue is a local city-maintained street. The traffic counts on West Balfour Avenue as of 2024, which is the latest data we have available, that is 2,500 vehicles per day. The capacity of the roadway is 10,200 vehicles. And so the property in question is directly in the center of the map. It's outlined in that darker blue outline. And the areas in purple that you see have an industrial zoning classification. The yellow areas have a residential classification, so they are a medium density residential with single family and two family duplexes permitted in those zoning districts. And then you have the orange to the northeast and to the southwest, which permits multifamily development. The red is a commercial that you see further to the east on North Fayetteville Street. And so this is parcel A1. You see all of the abutting parcels that did receive notification of this request. You'll also note there is some blue hatched area on much of the property on the western and northern portions of the property. That is the floodplain. And I will point out, and you'll see on the site plan that the development that's proposed is outside of the floodplain. In terms of the structures, there is a small portion of the entrance off of Balfour that would be within that area that would require flood permitting. So this topography map shows you also the same floodplain. You also see some utilities with the city sewer line and easement that's noted in green, and city water that runs along West Balfour Avenue and Terry Avenue as well. The topography is also, it's basically rolling terrain that you would see in much of the area. The aerial map shows you some of the surrounding land uses, so you can see a pattern here of industrial uses off to the west along West Balfour Avenue between the property and the railroad track, and then residential uses off to the north and to the east. This shows you a little bit of a closer view of the property, and the property off to the left is the meat packing facility that I mentioned. This is a view of the subject property from West Balfour Avenue, and you can see there is a drive that is there. That is where the proposed entrance would be located directly off of West Balfour Avenue that would connect the property and connect Terry Avenue that you see on the site plan. And so this shows you if you're looking to the east on West Balfour Avenue towards North Fayetteville Street. This shows if you're looking west on West Balfour Avenue towards the interstate. This is the property from Terry Avenue. So you do see kind of where that ends, and West Balfour Avenue is further off in the distance, so there would be a roadway built to connect Terry Avenue to West Balfour Avenue. This is looking east on Terry Avenue. You can see this street has primarily single-family residential with some two-family duplexes as you go up towards West Balfour. So this shows you the access in and out of the property. You'll note that on a previous plan that was presented to the planning board, there was only one access into the property that was coming from West Balfour via Randall Street and Terry Avenue, and the roadway has been added on the site plan to show that access as well, due to some concerns over Terry Avenue and that being a fairly narrow street. So the site plan shows you, again, that access roadway that would be built into the property. It also shows a total of 8 buildings with 8 dwellings in each of the buildings. You also have a dumpster toward the front of the property on at least Terry Avenue. You have a cluster mailbox unit. There is a recreation area in the middle of the property that shows some sitting areas, grills, tables, and a swing set. There's a buffer along the side of the property that faces the Terry Avenue property with an evergreen screen of trees every 15 feet. And also an area of best management practices. So we would expect that stormwater would be provided with this project on the property. There's also an open space and passive recreation area that is on the side of the property toward the entrance of West Balfour Avenue. So this shows you an elevation view of the proposed structure. It is hardy plank siding on the face of the structure. This is the rear elevation with the same type of siding. Then we have the side elevation and the other side elevation. So in terms of some modifications to the zoning ordinance, with this being a conditional zoning, that does allow some deviation from the typical ordinance requirements. And so the items that the applicant provides that exceed typical standards are a row of evergreen trees that are 15 feet on center on the eastern property line that abut a single-family dwelling. Typically, they would only have to do shrubs on that side. And then we have landscaping around the foundation of the buildings that you saw on the site plan. And as far as the number of parking spaces, that is 5 below the typical requirement, and that is for the visitor spaces. And recreational vehicle parking is not provided, but the site plan and a condition would prohibit recreational vehicle parking. There's also a condition that gives the option to have the extra visitor spaces. So if we go through the list of conditions, A simply reiterates that the use is for a maximum of 64 dwellings. B reiterates the requirements for that buffer along the residential property line that's closest to Terry Avenue. Item C is the requirement for that second entrance directly off of West Balfour Avenue, and that entrance be built to, at a minimum, North Carolina DOT subdivision roadway standards. And so that does require at least 18 feet of pavement plus the 1 foot of gravel on each side at a minimum for emergency response. There's also part of that condition that talks about if this roadway is accepted for public maintenance, that is not considered a modification that would have to come back through council. And I will say that we do expect this roadway to be built to those standards, and expect that it would be a city-maintained street. The city has been in discussions with the applicant about a partnership in terms of that street construction. There is a condition for a 20-foot wide easement for the proposed North Asheboro Greenway. That is fairly close to the sewer easement that runs along the creek. And that would be prepared by the city, and the applicant would agree to grant that 20-foot wide easement for the North Asheboro Greenway route if it goes through this property. Item E is giving the applicant the option to provide additional parking so long as it's not located in any screening or buffer yards. And item F, where there was the best management practices mentioned for the stormwater, if that goes in a different area, then they could provide the visitor parking in that location from the planning board's comments. Item G was the RV parking prohibition. And then we have items H, I, and J, which are the typical requirements for permitting from the Department of Environmental Quality and the applicant agreeing to the conditions in writing and recording those conditions with the Register of Deeds for future owners. In terms of the land development plan, this is classified by the proposed land use map as an industrial property, which simply reflects the current industrial zoning, and it is in the primary growth area and in the northeastern area of the city's planning area. We have a total of 3 goals and policies that support the request. The 3 that were negative toward the request dealt primarily with this being an industrially designated property, and the other 2 due to the narrow width of Terry Avenue, but we believe with that additional entrance that those 2 items are mitigated through that. So the consistency statement that comes to you from the planning board is that the land development plan map designates the property as part of the primary growth area, and even though the access is not directly from a minor thoroughfare, meaning the property does not currently have frontage on a minor thoroughfare, the proposed use may be less intense than the industrial uses that could be permitted under the existing industrial zoning, which is a general district with no conditional use or conditions attached to it. That given that and given the size of the property, given the additional protection to the neighbors with the additional buffering, and the location of the property close to employment, close to recreational amenities such as the North Asheboro Park and the future Greenway, and the provision of additional housing opportunities close to those amenities, we do believe that this is in the public interest to come with a positive recommendation, and the planning board also concurred with that recommendation. So I'm happy to pause and take any questions at this time.
Would Terry Street be curbed?
Potentially, but as far as the minimum roadway standards, it just does require pavement. So there's not a specific condition about it being curbed.
There'd be a turnout lane off of Balfour?
So we did check with NCDOT, and we're not anticipating that they would require a turning lane. You know, they will require, of course, the roadway be designed, you know, to their standards in terms of that entrance.
Any further questions? This is a public hearing, so if anyone would like to speak for or against this, please come forward. Mr. Crummey, you know the.
Sure. And this will go.
While they're
approaching,
Mayor, to
that'd be great.
key
Fabulous.
question. You could do the new Terry Avenue with curb and gutter. However, you're near the floodplain there, and I think it might be wiser for stormwater to do swales and check dams, just so you're not channeling that water anymore. There is existing impervious surface there from the street, so you can count that towards your, you know, your credit of impervious. Today, if this was a brand-new development and you didn't have the existing street in the floodplain there, I think we would probably insist on curb and gutter. But then we would also need to talk about a BMP. So the lesser environmental impact here would be to have a swale. But it is up to council.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of the council. I'm happy to report I do not own a puppy. And I'm probably the only lawyer in North Carolina who has never played a round of golf in my life. So I'm here to talk about something that's not usually very confrontational, and that's rezoning, right? This case that we're dealing with here tonight is an example of how, in my opinion, rezoning between an applicant and a city or municipality or the county ought to take place. I've rezoned property in 5 central North Carolina counties, and I will tell you sometimes, you know, staff and folks in a governing organization it's almost like it's a confrontation and not a collaboration. And I'm happy to say that on this situation, it's been a collaboration from the very beginning. Now, I have to say, because I am a retired lawyer, but and I am inactive, but I still hold a license, that I have to say I'm not here acting as an attorney tonight. I'm the corporate secretary of Harpley's Properties. My daughter Jamie is the shareholder, the owner of Harpley's Properties. And I'm also the project manager for this project. As I know all of you, I'm sure know, when she purchased Randolph Packing, one of the things she tasked me with doing was looking at all of the corporate assets and basically said, tell me what I have just bought and figure out what we're going to do with what we may not need. And since that time, we have disposed of quite a bit of equipment, some vehicles and other things, and we came across this piece of property, this piece of land that's zoned industrial. And we began to think about, okay, what can we do with this land? It's across the creek, so it's not accessible really between the remaining part of our land. And this is where the collaboration comes in, because I called the city manager and met with the city manager and also assistant city manager, and we sat down and discussed what is the best use for this property. It's zoned straight up industrial, and if Harpley's wanted to, they could develop that property purely as industrial without any conditional use or anything of that nature. But quite frankly, we don't think that's the best use of that property. We don't think it's best to come off of that side street, residential side street, into an industrial property. And so we sat down with the city manager and assistant city manager and began to discuss the different possibilities. The issues of Randall and Terry were issues that we had to go through and work our way through. That's why this thing has been continued for a couple of months as we were working our way through the technical design elements, the technical elements with our engineering firm, and trying to come up with a plan that is doable and usable. Originally, when we first started, this plan had about 72 units in it, and we sat back and said, you know what, that really doesn't have any place for the folks to play, kids to play in the site. So we dropped it back from 72 to 64 units. We did put whereas a lot of time in apartment complexes, the places for kids to play and things to happen is kind of way out or way, we put it right in the center of the project. And I think that's a testament to Jamie's viewpoint of having a really good place for folks to live. She thinks ultimately, perhaps even some of her employees may wind up in this apartment complex. Who knows? We also were very cognizant of the fact that part of the parcel is in a flood zone. The area that we're looking to build on is not in a flood zone, but part of the old continuation of Terry Avenue, which it looks like it was paved years and years ago, but it's in very, very bad shape right now. Part of that, as you can see, is in the flood zone. Again, we've had multiple meetings with the city staff. It's been very, very productive. The city manager, Donald, and I have talked on more than one occasion about, okay, how do we skin this cat, so to speak, not a puppy, and deal with the technical issues that we're dealing with, right? Because we're dealing with water issues, we're dealing with traffic issues and things of that nature. And I think we've achieved all of those things. One interesting piece is you'll see the big open space passive recreation space. Now, this was long before I moved to Asheboro in 1980 after I got out of law school, but I am told that used to be a baseball field.
Clarence Smith Ball.
As a matter of fact, Hy Marziano, the engineer on this team, his brother hit the first home run in that ballpark. Unfortunately, I don't think we've got enough room left over there to build another ballpark. But I do two things recreational. I think Councilwoman Pugh knows this. I hike a lot, and I ride bicycles. And so we've looked at things from a potential cyclocross track for kids to ride bicycles, where they dirt and they go around little humps and everything. Probably not the best use in that because we don't have enough land for that, plus enough land for parking. But I know one thing about trails, having hiked all of Greensboro's trails, all of the URA trails multiple times, the wonderful Caraway Creek Trail, that if you've got a trail that has multiple entry points, it gets utilized a lot more than if you have a trail that only has one entry point. And so we think that open passive recreation space, along with the easement that we're willing to give at no cost to the city for if and when the trail gets built, would be an excellent place to put a parking for that trail with maybe a creek, a little bridge like they built at the Caraway Creek Trail, a little bridge over the creek so people could park there, cross the creek, get onto the hiking trail and go forward. We think that might be a good utilization for that space as well. So my phone number was on the letter that was sent to all of the folks in the neighborhood. I'm happy to report we have had no calls on it, concerns at all, or folks in favor or folks opposed, so no calls at all. And so we would ask that this be approved. We think it would be somewhere in a $15 to $20 million investment, into the city based on current cost to build them. And continuing my golf jokes, hopefully that'll help offset some golf costs. I'm happy to answer any questions that you might have.
What time frame are you looking at, Bob?
Well, I was hoping I'd get grandfathered into not having to pay impact fees, but Mr. Duncan tells me that not unless I have a permit before January 1st. So I'm not sure if I can run that fast, but if it gets approved tonight and I can run that fast, you might be looking at something happening before January 1st. Because obviously, impact fees are necessary. We all know that. There's issues with water and sewer throughout the Piedmont Triad. That's nobody here's, everybody here knows that, and we've got to have them. But it does also increase the cost for folks that are going to rent or people that are going to own. It does, and so if we can avoid it, we're going to try real hard to answer your question, Ms. Heath. We're going to work real hard to try to see if we can get in before January 1st. But I don't want my daughter to hold me accountable for that.
Mayor and council, the previous council was able to work with a not dissimilar project off Mountain Road where it was a donut in the city and it was partially in, partially out. There's a series of lots that had to be recombined to create a residential project. And the street that was there was very much like the end of Terry Avenue. It was built substandard before the city had standards. And in this case, this was built before it was in the city and then later came in. So you have a substandard street, then you have a street that's deteriorated basically to nothing. And so in that situation, the previous council agreed to a compromise of if the street is brought up to a standard, then we would participate up to a not to exceed amount. And so we have offered that on this client. That would be something we would need to document and put in some form of letter of agreement later as part of the project. But currently the proposal is the city would participate because we have responsibility up to 50%, not to exceed $75,000 based on construction estimates, and staff to have to approve it. So if it comes in at 120, your liability would only be 60. If it comes in at 185, your liability is still only 75. And right now, I think that's a fair deal, and it also is, the city does have responsibility to improve standards out there. Nothing that this council did in the past. It is clearly up to this council if they would like to continue with that. There is no precedent. It's deal by deal, compromise by compromise, but that is what we have discussed. And it'll be up to y'all to authorize staff to enter into such agreement.
So as far as the rest of Terry Drive, there's not a major.
I think the concern there is rebuilding that whole street to a new standard, the street that's actually functional, widening out, taking up property, mailboxes, driveways, trees, and the disturbance for just 7 residents.
Well, my question was, there's no provisions in this.
No provisions for that.
Terry will remain as it is.
Correct, just the new
The
street.
existing Terry will
Correct.
remain, okay.
Yeah.
If you'll notice on our plan, we actually we're wider on the area coming from Balfour on what I'm calling the new Terry. And then you'll see then we narrow it down when it attaches to Terry because Terry is not as wide as what we build streets now. And again, with the city, we all looked at every option. And we looked at, do you go in and not fix new Terry, but go old Terry and Randall? And the cost to do that, quite frankly, is somewhat prohibitive. And then it gives you one in and one out. At least with this plan that we've come up with, you have two ins and 2 outs. And I would say probably 80 to 90% of, probably 95% of the folks that might rent these apartments are not going to take a right on Terry Avenue and go all the way around Terry and all the way around Randall. They're going to hang a left and they're going to go right out Terry to Balfour.
And I think to your point, to finish dovetail into that, you provide much better service for public safety in and out. Trucks aren't getting smaller, and of course for sanitation, so, which is really the big factor. Sanitation will be there 4 or 5 times a week, whereas, you know, you hope a fire truck never has to go there.
May I make one statement also on the record for the BMP? We don't think that BMP is going to be required for this site. If you look at the amount of land that we're putting into this parcel and the amount of coverage that we've got, we're way down the list. So our engineer, Mr. Marziano, does not think we're going to need BMP. And we are not, I know there's a thing about 5 parking spaces too little, but that has nothing to do with parking spaces required for folk. This is all the visitor parking. And we have committed that if the BMP is not required, we've got the room to put in additional parking there, and we'll do that. What we did not want to do was to take up the sitting area, grills, tables, swing set, all that area, and create additional parking. We want to still leave that amenity for the folk. And again, we do not believe that the BMP is going to be required, but we don't know that yet.
I'll add one point. We would want, may not be a full-blown BMP because we're not in stormwater
Right.
controls yet.
Yeah.
However, I would recommend some type of dissipator, so
Yep.
we're slowing that
We
water
talked
down
about
as
that.
it enters into the stream.
Right. And the engineer and I talked about that, you know, because this is up on the top of a little knoll there, so we will build it right.
Any more questions?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, sir.
I would like,
What?
you don't mind?
Sure.
I really appreciate you working with the staff, because a lot of these areas that are near a river or wetland, and you have roads that are not quite up to standard. I appreciate you working out that entrance to come off of Balfour directly. There's already a base there.
Right.
And I like developments that have two ways in and 2 ways out.
Sure.
So I just
Sure.
want to compliment you for working with
Thank
the staff and coming to something that's really going to be in the public's interest.
Right. And I don't think I said it actually, but we did have an agreement, Harpley's and the city, and with the city manager, we discussed that, and we agreed that cost-sharing arrangement, if the city council approves it, is something that we would approve and we would agree to as well. So we'll pay our fair share.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Anyone else to speak? Come up.
I'm going to tie this all up with a pretty little bow.
Okay, you can sign in. And
Yes,
then
I will.
State,
I sure
state your
will.
name.
You didn't know you were going back to talking about dogs tonight, did you? Watch this. My name is Renee Bryant, and I run Randolph County SPCA. It's right in the corner of your screen right there.
Ma'am, are you talking about what Mr. Crumley was just presenting?
I am.
Okay, just want to make sure.
That's why I
We were
said
heading off on a tangent there.
ironic. No tangent. You're okay, honey. You're all right. It just, sometimes life just happens that way.
So I didn't.
I'm going to pass this on.
Just clarifying.
That's my card and my phone number. So I didn't get to meet, I would have loved to have met this gentleman before, but ironically, when it went out from the planning meeting, in fact, I contacted one of the people on your planning board and said, it was listed to us, what we received said that the information we received said that you're going to meet at the courthouse where the county met. So my mother, cancer came back after Christmas time, and so I've been dealing with her, and so my partner at the SPCA showed up for the meeting and said, I don't understand, I'm here at the county, and I said, oh, no. So we realized there was an issue, just a simple mistake. We're humans, we all make them. And so it was all right. I thought, and I'm kind of using this opportunity, if you don't mind, to be able to pass my card on and say, I'd love to talk to you about something. So here at the Randolph County SPCA, we concentrate on community programs. The vet that comes to us the second Saturday of every month will tell you that we are one of his neediest communities. He comes all the way from Charlotte. And it's the way it is. It's life. And so we provide that to about 75 to 100 people that are bringing their animals to us. My concern is always safety. That is paramount. When you're dealing with an animal organization, that must be paramount over everything else. So I think I'd like to talk about maybe putting a fence around our area in the back, just to make sure, because when people come to us, we have very strict rules. You must be on a leash, cats must be in a carrier, all that good stuff, and human error happens all the time. And with an area behind us now encompassing a great number of people, apartments, that kind of thing, I want to make sure we don't have any accidents. We know that animals.
You are Jay on your,
I
to
am.
identify, and, okay.
Yes,
And
sir.
do you have fence around your place now?
I don't, but now this is when I really need to talk about it, because the best way to deal with animals in any entity, in my opinion, is to be horribly safe, very much safe, overprotective safe. Then you don't have those issues. So we're going to discuss a fence at our place, and of course, we're a 501c3. Takes a little bit of money, put some fencing up about that, but I know some things might be in the works with a corridor along Greenway, things like that. I just want to make sure that we don't have any issues. And so I'm going to use the opportunity to ask this gentleman if he'll give me a call, and let's just talk about some fencing back there. And so I would have to cover a much larger area than what he's dealing with, and that's on me. That's not on him, and that's certainly not on the city of Asheboro. I just want to tell you that I want to do my due diligence, and as far as keeping the animals, keeping the people safe, that has to be the priority. I love my animals, and I realize you guys probably don't want to talk about dogs and cats more than I do, but it's okay. It's we have to be protective of the humans first. And so I'm going to be working on that. And I don't know how close it is to the property line from the last building. Might you know, sir? Might you know?
Mr. Evans, yeah.
You can get an approximation.
And so back behind our building is where the vet has the
What's that
clients
setback?
coming to walk their dogs.
What's
And
that
so,
back?
It's gonna be at least, looks like 30 feet or so,
okay.
I would imagine, from just looking at it.
That
So-
sounds good. I don't think what I'm talking about really has any play in this at all, other than I want to tell you that I wanted to bring that up and say that we prioritize safety, and I have nothing against this, this being rezoned for what you have planned here.
Well, I'm sure that's he appreciates that. That's all I'm trying to say. That's reaffirming him because he wants his tenants protected as well.
Good fences, good
Sure,
neighbors.
sure.
We actually had a conversation during our planning stages. If we can go, John, can you
Sure, I
go
was gonna say,
back
it
to
might
that?
be a little bit less than 30 feet.
Well, the land directly behind us is actually owned by the family, the son of which was the former head of planning and zoning for, I think, Concord. I think it's Concord. And he has looked at the possibility of developing that land. The problem with he has is that land is 80-90% in flood zone. And one of with a lot of apartment complexes, as I said earlier, they'll put the recreational areas, kind of toward the back. But anticipating, as we were, that there may be development behind us, and there also, with the SPCA behind us, we said we want that sitting area, fixed tables, where the kids play area, not toward the back, but right in the middle of the complex. So from the area that the kids would be playing, it's got to be at least 300-400 yards from where the SPCA building is, which is, and we've got a significant amount of the back portion of our land that's going to be still wooded and not developed as well. So we did take those things into consideration. Like I said, I hadn't had a conversation with the SPCA, but I did have a conversation with the gentleman whose family owns, I believe it was K on the previous map. But again, like I said, most of it is in the flood zone. So the likelihood of it being developed is probably slim to none.
Thank you. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
Okay, anyone else? She is a former Randall
Evening, Mayor.
Welcome.
Members of council. My name is Joe Edelman. I live at 1833 Amelia Court in the Parkside community in Asheboro. So my backyard adjoins the 404 West Balfour property. I think it's A2, A1, I guess. No, B. So I'm right back there behind property B. I'm speaking regarding a concern with actually the existing cattle operation at A2 property. And wonder if this could be addressed, the concern I have.
I'll give you a little bit of leeway, but
Yep.
we're dealing with zoning strictly on that. It's got nothing to do with the other part of that property.
Okay.
Okay? I mean, if you're talking about some type of tying something into that property, we're voting on that one section. We're looking,
Yeah.
is that correct?
The zoning change affects, it has to do with air quality?
Yeah, well,
That's my concern.
That's what I don't, go ahead. I just want to,
Okay.
I just don't want to get too far.
It has to do with air quality. There's a burn incinerator behind the meatpacking plant. And on occasion, it's not every day, but on occasion, extremely acrid smell will come into our neighborhood. And if we stay kind of hot and still, it'll extend clear down to North Asheboro Park, okay? As I investigated it, it's clearly the incinerator behind the meatpacking company. I called them, and they were very upfront and said they must dispose of cattle brains and spinal tissue daily as they slaughter the animals, and that's what that does. I'm no expert, but I was surprised to see the smokestack only 10 feet high. So there's no wonder of how that smoke can easily just be forced right back and hang kind of low for days. So my concern is putting more people close to that. The whole apartment complex is just the other side of the creek from that. Is that many times I see that it's generally blowing that way, so I don't get it. But I feel like that whole area would be blanketed in that smoke.
You're talking about the apartments?
Yeah, the apartment area would be blanketed by that. So I just think it's a good time to at least understand if that's meeting standards, and if not, it'd be brought up to modern air quality standards.
Thanks, sir.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Any questions?
Bruce Moffett again. Oh, I'm signed in. So my thing is about the streets, and Simone mentioned about the turnout lanes. For years, the city has neglected this. Use Zoo Parkway as a prime example of neglect, of not setting a standard and making developers adhere to that standard. So don't shortcut the width of the street. If the curb and gutter, as you pointed out, if the curb and gutter is appropriate for the majority of it, curb and gutter that, the developer can surely absorb that cost. It's not gonna make them happy. That none of this stuff makes very many people happy. But the turnout lanes to prevent traffic in the future, Asheboro doesn't seem to be getting any smaller. We're not gonna have less of a traffic issue. Make the contractor, make the developer take care of that cost so that the city doesn't have to come back and do it 10 years later.
You did check with DOT, you'd like to address that?
Right, so they did not indicate that turn lanes would be warranted just for that number of residents, but the request will have to go through their full permitting process to ensure the driveway connection is properly made to the existing roadway, so.
Anyone else? Questions? Anyone else like to speak, address this? Council?
Mayor, I have a question about the cost-sharing arrangement that Donald was referring to. Does that need to be a separate motion? How do we need to handle that?
Since the applicant has accepted it as a condition that would be approved by them, it can be incorporated into the motion if council wishes to do that.
Okay.
Anyone else? All right, I'll close this public hearing. And we will go to the deliberative stage. Council, and what's your thoughts, what ideas?
Well, I'll just echo what Councilwoman Pugh said about just thanking Mr. Crumley for listening and responding and working with city staff. That's very much appreciated with the entrance. And I will, just to kick things off, I will move to approve rezoning request RZ 2606, attaching conditions as summarized, and to adopt the plan consistency and reasonableness statement articulated by the planning board, which does include authorizing the city manager to negotiate a cost-sharing arrangement with the city and the developer for road improvements.
I'll
Thank you
second.
for the motion. Thank you for the second, Ms. Pugh. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Mr. Moffett, I will say that the Zoo Parkway, when some of these things were approved with our last council, we required decel lanes, and we required it was written in there. And, you know, of course, we were putting the sportsplex down there, we were putting several other things on there, and that was before you got here, but we made sure, so we didn't have one person turning left, holding up the whole line. You know, will it be perfect, because there's so much going on down there? Eventually, the state's gonna have to address that, and at least do a 3-lane. But, I appreciate your perspective on that, and your interest in that, and we do consider that, you know. In that case, I'm not sure the DOT had a couple of things, but we added to that. So, hopefully the Zoo Parkway won't be, when they start building there, it won't be any worse. Okay?
And this does sort of break up all over North Asheboro, as that was brought into the city a long time ago. I don't remember the exact years. but anyway,
71, I believe.
71. There are so many roads, streets that are up there in North Asheboro on either side of Balfour that are grossly inadequate. I mean, they're pretty much driveways is what they are, you know. They're just long driveways, one lane. If I meet somebody in my pickup truck, I better stop, because one of us can't get by without pulling over to let the other one. And those are things that we will need to address at some point soon.
Okay, moving on. We're on to the new business. Council, you have the consent agenda. Is there any item on there we need to pull off and discuss further? Any questions about any items? If not, I will entertain a motion.
Mayor, I move we approve the consent agenda as presented to us this evening.
Thank you, Mr. Burks. Second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Cheek. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Well, we're back. I'm going to open a public hearing for case number RZ 2609 it's a conditional zoning, and Mr. Evans is going to take it along. Some copies here.
So this request is also involving property located on West Balfour Avenue. This is a little bit further to the west, involving one parcel identification number. The request on this property is for the use classified by the zoning ordinance as manufacturing, processing, and assembly heavy, and specifically the use involves lawful processes for agricultural and food products. The applicant in this case is also Harpley Holdings LLC. I will point out the existing zoning on this property is a light industrial conditional zoning, and that was for a warehouse for food storage. And that was approved back in 2025. On this case, all of the required notifications have been made by the applicant and city staff, have been published in the newspaper, and signs have been posted on West Balfour and Canoy Drive. So the property in this case is about 5 3/4 of an acre. It is within the city limits and is currently undeveloped. Just as with the last case, West Balfour at this location is also a minor thoroughfare with the same traffic counts, 2,500 with a 10,200 capacity. And so this property is in the middle of the map. It's outlined in blue, and As with the previous request, the purple areas are industrial, the yellow areas are residential, the orange areas are multifamily or higher density residential, and the red is commercial on North Fayetteville Street. This shows the subject parcels and those who are, and the adjoining parcels. The subject parcel is identified as property A. The adjoining parcels are also shown on the map and the table there. So this property is, the eastern part of this property is within a flood zone. You have a city sewer easement that runs on the eastern part of this property. As with the last request, there is no structure located within the flood zone, and this has no driveway located within the flood zone that is proposed. The topography is very similar to the surrounding properties. It's a fairly rolling piece of property. The flatter area is toward the center as you go along West Balfour Avenue. And there is city water that's accessible to the site too. So this shows you a view of the subject property, an aerial photo. So you can see that there is some existing vegetation that exists. Some of the property has been cleared, much of the property, and the vegetation is of varying density in terms of the tree coverage. You will see that as we go along on the photographs. So this is a view of the property. This is taken from the right-of-way of West Balfour Avenue. You can see on the left-hand side, that is where Canoy Drive would be off in that direction. And then on the northern side, you do have some residential properties that are the closest to this property. This shows you a view closer to Canoy Avenue, where you see the trees that are remaining on that side, and then along the northern side. And again, it's a varying density in terms of the foliage here. This is another view of the property from West Balfour Avenue. This is on the eastern side of the property if you are closer to the creek looking in that direction. This is the subject property from Canoy Drive. This is looking south towards West Balfour Avenue. This is looking north on Canoy Drive, so this would be looking towards North Asheboro Park. This is looking, actually that should be looking west on West Balfour Drive. And then this is, should be looking east on West Balfour Drive towards North Fayetteville Street. But so this just to give you an idea of what was approved on the previous plan. This shows you the layout of the entrance coming off of West Balfour Avenue. It also has an accessory building, a laboratory, manufacturing laboratory site, as well as restrooms as an accessory structure. And then this building, compared to what is proposed on the updated plan, if you look between the two, the newly proposed building, they are both indicated at 20,000 square feet. This building has a longer length parallel to West Balfour Avenue, less of a length facing Canoy Drive and the creek to the east, and it does shift further away from the residential properties that are north of the property. It's about 100 feet away from the property line at the closest corner, if you look at the northwestern corner of the building. And so you also see around the property labeled some different distances. Those are what the applicant proposes as leaving as undisturbed in terms of existing vegetation. We have 150 feet on the eastern side of the property, 50 feet on the northern side of the property. That is closest to the Parkside development, and then 55 feet along the side of the property facing Canoy Drive. There's also a street yard using existing vegetation and a row of trees and shrubs where that needs to be supplemented along the side of the property facing West Balfour Avenue.
There's also best management practices for stormwater that is shown on the site plan as well for this property, and 60 parking spaces. So this shows you a view of the building. The long side of the building that's kind of on the middle of the drawing here, that is the side of the building facing West Balfour Avenue. There is a 4-foot skirted masonry wall at the bottom of the building that's proposed, and then metal panels on the remainder of the building. Also, you see that shown on the eastern side of the property, close to the driveway, with two roll-up doors on that side of the property. I will point out that on West Balfour Avenue, that is a minor thoroughfare, and so typically design standards in the general ordinance requirements do not require masonry as a facade in an industrial district unless it's on a major thoroughfare, and West Balfour is considered a minor thoroughfare. Conditional zoning, of course, can certainly change that requirement. So if we look at the modifications to the ordinance requirements, at least in terms of the width of the buffers that adjoin residential properties, those do exceed typical standards in an industrial district, which could be as little as 15 feet with a screen or 30 feet with a buffer, with the screen having more of an opaque sort of a planting as far as shrubs or a fence and evergreen trees. And the buffer would have fewer trees and a row of shrubs every 5 feet apart, typically with a situation where this type of industrial use adjoins a residential use. I will also point out that with this use, a slaughterhouse, since this does involve food processing, a slaughterhouse is a separate use, and so that would not be permitted with this conditional zoning where they're actually doing the slaughtering activities. There is also an enlarged front yard landscaping along Canoy Drive. That is typically only a 10-foot street yard. That was shown as 55 feet, and then stormwater controls are also shown on the site plan. So we have proposed a total of 5 conditions. Of course, the first one is reiterating what the proposed use is permitted as. Item B would not allow a driveway connection to Canoy Drive, and that was a condition on the previous plan. We have that condition on this proposal as well. There is a requirement that existing vegetation may count toward the front yard landscaping requirements where you saw the existing vegetation that was left on Canoy Drive. There is on this request also a 20-foot wide easement that's proposed for the North Asheboro Greenway, which the feasibility study indicated that could be going through this property as well. So the applicant would have a condition to grant that easement to the city at no cost, with the city incurring the cost to prepare the easement. Items E and F are that the applicant accept the conditions in writing and have that as a recorded memorandum at the Register of Deeds. So in terms of the proposed land use for this property, it is designated for urban residential use. It is in the primary growth area and in the northeastern area of the city. There are a total of 6 goals and policies that are supportive of the request. The one that's negative is because the proposed land use is urban residential, where you would typically have some sort of multifamily use on this property. So the planning board's reasonableness statement was that this does, the request is consistent with multiple goals of the land development plan related to economic development and environmental stewardship with the stormwater management. The map amendment is reasonable given the size and physical condition of the property and proposed environmental impact mitigation, and the additional buffering width to the adjoining residential properties, and also the fact that we do have industrially zoned properties and uses along West Balfour Avenue. So
So this does come with a positive recommendation from staff and the planning board, but I'll be glad to pause and take any questions.
John, I just want
Yes,
to
ma'am.
clarify
Sure.
the building.
Sure.
So on the first page of the handwritten application,
Mm-hmm.
it says a 10,000 square foot building. And then you referenced a single building, and then on the plan, it says one or more buildings.
Right.
So the applicant may be better to, able to answer this, but I'm
Right.
just trying to clarify what's going on.
Sure, they may be able to clarify that. I think they showed a general design that we would expect, you know, with the skirted wall, but they may be able to clarify
Okay.
that point. Yes, ma'am.
I wasn't here for when it was zoned.
Sure.
The conditional use zoning.
Sure.
But that was for, cold storage.
Correct.
Correct?
Correct.
And this, they came back because they've changed the use.
Correct.
Correct?
Correct, yes, ma'am.
And it's going to involve, not the slaughtering of animals, but the processing of animals.
That's correct, yes.
Okay, so I just want to make sure I understand that, because that is a very different use
Sure,
than what was approved.
sure. And that's the reason it was needing to come back for a
But
new
I'll wait
request.
till we get to the comment period. I just
Sure.
wanted to make sure I was correct.
Yes, ma'am, absolutely.
Council, any questions for Mr. Evans?
I've ridden by up there and it looked like
Yes,
the
sir.
buffer line between the building, proposed building and the residential is bars. Thinned out in a hurry, it looked like.
Sure. It is much, you know, thinner on the side of the development where Parkside is closer to Conoy than when you get further back in there. Yes, yes, sir. So, and I think the applicant may want to address the buffering and screening as well, so, but.
Anyone else? Anyone to speak for or against this, please?
And there's, I have the video that you asked to be on there. Okay, and then it'll, maybe we'll start automatically, or it'll go over here possibly, so I think. Sure, okay.
Thank you, John. Thank you. I must start again with my legal disclaimer. I'm not acting as a lawyer here tonight. So why are we here? We're here because even though we want to modify our use to a less intensive use under your zoning ordinance, we have to come back through this entire process due to, as I learned this week, a state statute that requires that we do this. What the intention is Harpley's has operated its taxidermy and deer processing business in the city limits of Asheboro on Dorset Avenue for about 5 years in a building that we originally built to process hemp. And when the hemp market imploded, as many of you are aware, then we began to operate Harpley's there. They have been deer processing on that facility, which is, I think it's like a commercial business type zoning there for about 5 years. Processing deer when they come in during the hunting season, and then also doing taxidermy work. On that property on Dorset Avenue, as you know, right across the street is the Durham Print, what we all refer to as the Durham Printing Building and the Hardee's. Immediately to the left of it, there was houses. Right behind it, there's houses. To the other side of it, there are 2 office buildings, which at one point we owned, one of which houses the North Carolina Social Workers Licensing Board. I can tell you that in the period of 5 years, there has been 0 complaints of noise, of smell, or of anything. Nobody is slaughtering deer there. The deer that are brought in by hunters, and they are processed there indoors, obviously, in that facility. So during this course, since Jamie purchased Randolph Packing, she began to look at the possibility of do I leave Harpley's deer processing in that location, or do I move Harpley's deer processing? One of the first things we looked at was, we've got available land behind the meat processing plant, could we locate it there? Well, we have a little problem with this thing called the U.S. Department of Agriculture. They don't want a non-USDA facility on the same facility as a USDA. And so we looked across the street. Now, one of the things that happened, originally we had planned, member pew, we had planned a 20,000 square foot freezer facility in there. And that size of a freezer facility required an industrial zoning. And so what we learned is once the word got around to our existing freezer people that we were looking at buying our own, and that, quite frankly, building something a whole lot bigger than we needed, and we might be in the business of renting some freezer space to other people, they suddenly found their price will be a little more flexible than what their pricing was used to. So we said, okay, now we don't need to build a 20,000 square foot freezer facility. What can we do? And so we are coming before you today to say what we want to do is to move the Harpley's deer processing from Dorset Street to this location. And under your zoning, that is a less intensive use. The zoning it is right now is not as high of a level of intensive use as this use is. But because, again, as I said, the state statute, it wasn't something simply staff could do as an administrative change to say, okay, this is a less intensive use than the industrial. We're going to leave it at zoned industrial, but we're going to have a less intensive use. Instead, we had to come all the way back through planning and all the way back to you today. So that's why we're here today. The plan is that we want to locate approximately somewhere between 7,000 to 10,000 square feet building that would house the Harpley's taxidermy and deer processing. Deer processing takes place basically from late August through January the 1st, and then it's over. The taxidermy part of it, which is currently being done in the Durham, in what we used to call the Durham Printing Building, currently done in that building. Obviously, that's a 12-month around time frame. But you're looking at limited employees. During the deer processing season, Harpley's employs about 10, 12 people, depending on when they are in the process. A year-round on the taxidermy side, about 5 or 6 people. The rest of the project is not changed. The parking lot is still the same size. It was designed to serve Randolph Packing across the street. The little building that was in the previous approval that you made is still there. That is the testing laboratory for the folks that do the testing for the USDA of the meat that comes from that packing. And one of the things that we learned, you learn a lot as you go through these processes, one of the things we learned is they're not allowed to have a bathroom in their facility. And so we're looking at having to put a little bathroom out there. So there's an issue with the USDA and pathogens and airbornes, and you cannot have a bathroom in one of these testing labs. And so we had that anticipated in the last. But other than that, it's not changed. The other thing that was really nice when we began to look, okay, it's like a freezer kind of dictates its size because there's certain economies that a freezer has to do, a bigger freezer, like a 20,000 square foot freezer. And that kind of determined how big we were going to make the building. But now that we're looking at this changed use, we can have a much smaller footprint for the building in terms of the width, and we can extend the length. Now, what that does for the neighboring people, it puts that building even further away from the houses. And so probably, I haven't laid a rule onto the site plan, but my gut tells me based on the distance you're looking at, that edge of that building would be in excess of 100 feet from the nearest house. So it's a nice ways away. Now the question has arisen about this buffer. If we developed this as a residential apartment, we could be really a whole lot closer to the property line than 50 feet. And there are some uses that historically that we could put within 15 feet of the property line. We agreed from the get-go with staff that we would extend that to 50 feet. And so our what we call the no-cut zone is 50 feet from the property line. Here's my problem. This is a picture, this is actually part of a video that I took last week. Amelia Avenue was developed as a PUD, and as I understand it, I've been informed, I don't know, haven't researched it in depth, but I've been informed that J.H. Allen actually may have developed this PUD. The houses on Conoy that abut our property are one of them particularly is very, very close to the property line. And over the years, these folks they've taken the liberty of cutting all of what we would now have as buffer into our property line. What you're seeing right here is a video of approximately 30 feet incursion into our property by these residents that back up on Kanoi. As a matter of fact, you can see their black pipe coming out of the ground. That black pipe is not coming out of the ground on their property, it's coming out of the ground on our property. I checked with the folks that we purchased the property from, and they said at no time have they given anyone permission to cut. You can see in that picture the little pink flag up near one of the big trees. That's the property line. And they have cut all the way down into it. John, how do we get to the next video? Now, this video is looking at the property on past that Don Pritchard owns. You can see barely a little pink ribbon flying in the wind, and you can see they have not cleared out any of the buffer. There's about 50 feet in there, 40, 50 feet to our property line and our 50 feet, and you can see it more than meets the city minimum. But as I pan around to the area on Amelia Court, you can see where the residents there have begun to clear out the buffer onto our property. Can you go to the next one? I think that's the same one, John. Can we go to the next one? Okay, yeah. You see on this one, you see that ribbon on the tree, and that's the property line, and this shows the area that the neighbors have cleared onto our property. As a matter of fact, that you can see the deck right through the picture on the swing set. The deck is actually extending over the property line onto our property. Now, we're not here saying folks have done anything, untoward. I don't know what they knew about the property line or where it was, but very clearly, if you stand at Randolph Packing and you look in the area toward the west part, toward the east part of the property, and you see the area where Don Pritchard has those rental units, very wooded. You can't hardly even see the trees. They've not cut. It goes all the way up to where this area here, which is, they basically cut our buffer out. If we were to develop this property as a residential apartment complex, our apartments could very well be within this area that I'm showing you right now, within 3 or 4 feet of their swing set, okay? And so we don't want to do that. We've provided a 50-foot buffer. Unfortunately, it's not a very thick buffer right now because they have, over the years, cut down our trees. I have not communicated with any of the neighbors to say stop cutting stuff on our property. Just trying to be a good neighbor in this process, but by the same token, there are still some really big trees in here, and there's some little saplings that have not been cut. But that's kind of why when you look at this property and you go, golly gee, the buffer looks awful thin, you can see right through it. That's why it looks thin. It's been cut by the very people that buffers are supposed to protect. And so they've basically taken out the buffer. And so that's kind of where we find ourselves. There will be, as I said, there will not be any slaughter activity or anything of that nature. We're not a more intensive use than the light industrial use that's already there. It's a lesser use than what we are there. And I think that most of the folks that live around Harpley's, as it is right now, will say that they have been a very good neighbor, and a lot of people don't even know that the deer processing plant is there, except when Jamie holds her annual season kickoff and she has the big party. So
well, you can thank us for probably giving you cover down there because it's a lift station.
Yeah.
And they complain about the lift station because of some of the we've had those.
Oh yeah, about
that lift station.
Yeah, the lift station. Yeah. We've had issues with that lift station too. That goes back to the sewer water and sewer impact fees, right?
Yep.
So, but I'm happy to. I've got some more videos if you want to see it too. But I mean, it's very clear from the videos and if you walk that property, it's been cleared by the neighbors to the tune of about 30 feet into our in our property.
When we were here in November talking about
Yes.
the freezer
Yes,
facility, we had
yes.
a lot of discussion about how often people would be going to the building.
Right.
Dropping things off, lights, et cetera. Can
Right.
you can you
Sure,
speak a little bit?
yeah, and Mr. Pritchard raised those issues. The interesting thing about this property, if you look at the topography, our building is going to be significantly lower than where these houses are. If they see anything on the building, they're probably going to see, the top part of the building. We also have not decided, in terms of building design, we're looking at a lot of different stuff. This building may be all masonry. We're looking at the cost of building either a stick-built masonry sided building versus a metal building, because we don't need that big voluminous open space for this building that we need for the other. In terms of people coming in and going out, is it busier during deer season? Absolutely. That's about 4 months out of the year. So about 8 months out of the year, they're not even going to know probably there's anybody even actually working there.
They would be coming in off Balfour Avenue, correct?
Yes, there is no entrance on Conoy, and we treat this 50 feet. We had Survey Carolina come in and do two things. We said survey the property line and survey what we call the 50-foot no-cut zone. And quite frankly, we're the only ones that are abiding by the no-cut. The neighbors are not abiding by the no-cut zone. But Conoy Avenue, I do have another video. I think you can show Conoy Avenue. You can see how dense it would be. No, keep going to the next one, maybe. There, see that right there? There's the property line, and you can clearly see the deck extends over the property line. And there is actually an iron pipe right in that tree.
Mm-hmm. That's why it's white.
Make a deer stand out of it.
Yeah, I'll put a deer stand in. So was the city going to get city deer hunting? There you go. So there was, yeah, as you can see, that's facing Conoy, and that's what I want to see. That is what the neighbors would have if cutting had not been taking place in our 50-foot easement. Because we got 55 feet no-cut zone on Conoy, and there will not be an entrance on Conoy. And so you can see how thick it is. I mean, you basically very limited to be able to see Conoy Avenue.
Is anything going to be coming from the packing plant across the street?
If anything, we may still build that smoke. That's why we put one or more buildings, up to 2 buildings, but no more than 20,000 square feet. We might down the road build a 10,000 or less square foot freezer. So if anything comes over, it's only going to be frozen products. There will be no USDA manufacturing taking place in this facility because it is not going to be USDA inspected. As a matter of fact, we are, and we've been in communication and discussions with the city. I don't know if you saw last week, the U.S. Department of Agriculture announced a $500 million grant program for what they call medium-sized meat processors. One of the things we learned during the pandemic was the big boys survived really well. The medium meat processors had a really tough time. And so the U.S. Department of Ag, and Jamie was at a meeting with them last week, and met and spoke with the Secretary of Ag. And they have put this $500 million program together, which is going to provide grants. And so Jamie and them are already preparing a proposal to grant that would help them to re-up or to expand some of the production capacity inside the Randolph packing facility. But there would be no USDA work across the street.
And so you just be lifting everything from the Dorset Avenue location?
Yes, yes. And then within, there would be figures out then of what we're going to do with that Dorset location building. Okay. Jamie would either keep it and rent it or, sell it or whatever the case may be.
I have a question.
Yes.
This was designed, for the freezer
Yes, originally. Yes.
So how have you changed it to accommodate the fact that you're going to have waste that you wouldn't have with the freezers? You're going to have animal waste. You're going to have some bio waste, I imagine. You're going to have odors that you weren't going to have.
Have a what now?
Odors, smells. That you wouldn't have with the freezer. So how have you modified this? Like your dumpster, and how are you going to handle those that waste that you weren't gonna have
Right.
if it was a freezer.
Basically the same way we've been doing on Dorset Street. We have dumpsters, so when the deer come in and they're processed, any part of the carcass that's not used obviously goes into the dumpster. Jamie actually enclosed the dumpster, not a requirement from the city, but she actually enclosed the dumpster there at that with actually a little metal building around it. In terms of the smell, as I said, we've been operating there for about 5 years and no complaints. This building, if it's built, will have grease traps in it, just like the building on Dorset Street has grease traps. So we're collecting any grease or anything of that nature through that. So from a bio standpoint, really not. And deer processing is not a regulated biological hazard business according to North Carolina statutes. And it's not regulated by the U.S. Department of Ag or FDA. And so she's not processing anything for the sale to the general public. As a matter of fact, it's illegal to sell deer products in North Carolina. And so she's basically cutting and packaging meat for an individual, much like she has in the location actually on Dorset Street. She has processed cattle there, and she's processed pigs there, as well as deer. Over the last 5 years at Dorset. Not done any slaughter. Any of the animals were brought in, already deceased and processed there. And again, it's not been an issue. Freezer space is indoors, the cooler space is indoors. It's not been an issue. The other nice thing is the deer processing occurs in the winter months. Processing in the summer for anything. I mean, I operated the shopping center in Asheboro down on Dixie Drive. Never had a complaint in the winter about smell from the dumpsters. The only complaints come in the summertime when the humidity is heavy and you get the heat. Fortunately for deer processing, it's done in the winter. And so again, I think that helps again as well. Again, I think the key thing to hear, if we were going to, this conditional use allows us to operate within certain limits under the condition, obviously. And so we can't increase clearly manufacturing beyond what we've already basically been doing at Dorset Avenue.
Bobby, just
Yes.
to address one of the complaints we heard earlier about the smell coming from the meatpacking plant across the street.
Right.
There'll be no incineration or anything like that
No.
in this facility.
No. And some of that, and everything that's done in the meat plant, Jamie has significantly reduced the waste that is being incinerated. For example, they did not, in the past, they were not selling livers, they were not selling hearts, they were not selling any of the other parts. There's a story going around Harpley's now that if Jamie could figure out how to sell the moo, she would do it. And because she's now, she within 2 weeks of buying the company, she had contracts to do the hearts, liver. So the amount of waste that she's having to incinerate per USDA requirements is significantly less. Like, for example, if they bring in a cow over a certain age, the USDA requires, like, for example, the spinal column in the bones has to be incinerated, even if there's no evidence of any disease. And so what she does there is strictly reviewed, inspected. I mean, there are like 6 USDA inspectors on her site every day.
You have air quality permit?
Yes, everything is fully permitted, straight up.
Ms. Pugh, the other thing I'll say is this particular use will likely go through a pre-treatment program and industrial user permitting process with water resources that would be different than what the freezer operation would undergo. So there will be additional permitting required from City Water Resources to address the issues that you are raising that are within our purview.
I think the same thing we had to do this is the same thing that we did and had to comply with at the site. I mean, I've got, at that site on Dorset Street, I've got there's 2 grease traps bigger than any grease trap for any restaurant, probably in Asheboro. So, we have to go through that.
If it is approved, it'll go through a heightened design and permitting process with our building inspections and our technical services team.
Well, that's what I'm trying to point out there.
Sure.
It's different from this.
Yes.
The freezers thing. I mean,
Yes.
it's got more complications now that it's processing.
It does have less complications, but in terms of zoning, it is a lesser use, which is interesting.
I'm not following on the more intense or lesser use. I mean, you were gonna have a freezer sitting there.
Yeah,
People,
yeah.
now you're gonna have people up there processing.
I know, but under the zoning
Are you
ordinance.
practicing law now?
Do what now?
Are you practicing law?
No, I'm not practicing law.
Just asking.
My interpretation is a less intensive use.
Okay, that's your,
You
yes.
you mentioned that she processed cattle and swine on the Dorset Avenue.
Yeah, she doesn't do that anymore.
Okay, well, you mentioned that she had.
Yeah, she will not be doing that
She will
there.
not be doing that on this
She's
piece of
done.
property.
She's,
Okay, that
no,
was my
she's not gonna do that.
Can that be a condition?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. We'll be happy to put a condition that the only thing that's processed are, game.
Okay.
Wild game. Sure.
I
That's
wanna
not,
put a little
but she did that because she had farmers, Randolph Packing used to take animals from farmers to process for their own use. And they stopped doing that. And there was, at the time she started doing it, there was no facility in this area that did that for farmers. And so she said, I want to provide something that farmers, so they can, if they want to harvest a cow for their own personal family use, that's what they could do. That was it. Nothing that she did there was for commercial sale, right? Because, and it was all stamped, not for sale, for personal use. And so under North Carolina law, it's really interesting. In Virginia, she could actually harvest the animal and then process it. In North Carolina, the farmer has to harvest the animal and bring it to her. And, but she stopped doing that. It was, I mean, quite frankly, it's not a very profitable process. So she quit doing it. But yeah, if that's a condition you want, we're happy to agree to that it would be, the game animal taxidermy.
In your defense, the city used to receive significant complaints from the prior operator.
From who now?
Because of the prior operator. Spillage.
Okay.
Waste on the roads.
Right.
Things like that. To my knowledge, Travis, unless you've heard something, I've not received any complaints. I don't know if the staff has.
This is Mr. Hall. He's
I live in Parkside, and to your point, my name's Mark Hall, yes, there's something. I
Sorry,
did.
what was your name again, sir?
Mark.
Mark.
Mark, yeah, I'm in the Parkside.
Mark.
Hall. Yeah, there has been a significant, improvement in all that spillage coming out of the Randolph Packing. They turn left, they spill it all the way up past Canoy, and we did complain about it. It's terrible to drive through at that time in that season. And, yeah, we complained about people walking in. It had to be a health problem. But Jamie has made significant changes there. I see nothing of that. And that's a better neighbor. And my sense is if you get that kind of support, a local business backed up to a residential area across the road, then I think what's going to happen with the processing and taxidermy will also be the same kind of partnership with residents and business. So that told me a lot about her intent when she cleaned that up. And you're right, there was a lot of complaining.
Yeah, there was a substantial record before I came.
Yes, it was, and it is better.
To my knowledge, I'm not aware of any unless staff is.
Yes.
Of any new complaints.
Very much better.
I'd say that Mr. Hall was a regular caller to me, since I live up not too far from there.
Yeah.
About the spillage on the road there,
Yeah.
on Balfour, and we were commenting as we came in. He hadn't talked to me in a while, so that's a good thing.
Yeah, we appreciate that. Thank you.
Well, it's not good that you haven't talked to me, Mark. Yeah, okay, talk to me later about something else.
I want to try to share a little, we've said several times tonight, previous councils. Well, I was on the council. I said, I was on the council when this was decided.
Yes.
There's four of us up here that were involved.
Right.
Yes.
I was right down there on the end, which, Mr. Mills is. And I went back and listened to the audio because I asked you, and you probably remember, I asked you specifically, are we going to do any kind of processing? I asked you for processing, manufacturing.
Right.
You said no.
Right.
And you went to great lengths to talk about
Right.
quiet, it's going to be dark, we'd have parking over there and everything like that. And regardless of how it's interpreted by law, this is a more intensive use of that property. I mean, you're doing something, you weren't gonna be doing any finished product. You're gonna let your employees there, and you're gonna bring your product over there and store it, and it would be going out. And, lower impact, everything like that. I realize it's 4 months. I've had a couple of calls. about people, they didn't want to come speak tonight, but they've had buzzards come over and be on their deck. You know, now, I'm not pointing fingers. I know nature's nature, okay?
Yeah.
And there's processes and everything that go like that. But something like that, and I understand what you're saying about, you know, how you're gonna dispose of it and everything like that. But it is a dynamic change in a lot of ways.
Oh, absolutely.
From what it was. And I voted that night in favor of it, as the whole council did, and I based it on that. You know, I'm not sitting here making a judgment, and I don't have a vote. But my concern is, a change like that, I mean, I gave it to you, we gave it to you like you asked for it. And then we're back in 6 months and we're changing the building.
And I will tell you straight up, there was no intention 6 months ago to bring Harpley's deer processing up here. There was not. And so when I stood before you before and I said, no, there won't be processing, my intention, and I think the questions were related to the beef processing across the street. You know, was there going to be beef processing? But at no time during that time, Mr. Mayor, was there any discussion between Jamie or me or anybody about moving Harpley's deer processing here? It's when we realized that we don't need 20,000 square feet of freezer space anymore in this project, and part of it is because of the way she has changed the way that they manufacture at Randolph Packing, soon to be Harpley's Packing. And she doesn't need quite as much freezer space. Some of it's because we got a better rate once people thought we were leaving. Then the issue came up of can we move? And I think the key indicator is we have operated for 5 years within 100 feet of Hardee's, within about 100 feet of Waffle House, around my office, around the state office for the licensing for social workers, 2 houses that are within probably 40, 50 feet, and we're within about, I think, maybe 10 feet of the property line on that case with 0 complaints. So yes, we're going to be doing some processing, but Jamie is very, very concerned about doing it right. As a matter of fact, a few weeks ago, a lady by the name of Temple Grandin was here in Randolph County. Temple is the world's noted expert on ethical treatment of animal. Temple has been Jamie's mentor for about 5 years. And so Jamie actually, the plans that she's making for some changes at Randolph Packing, she actually had the engineer send those plans to Temple Grandin in Colorado for her review and approval. So she is going to go the extra mile. I believe very strongly she will be a good neighbor there, just like she has been a good neighbor on Dorset Street.
Let me ask you a little bit, I was looking at the plan, and you got 2 ground level doors, or are they dock doors?
Well, there's 2 dock doors on that end, originally on the building. We have not submitted a full set of plans for the buildings. If you'll notice,
Are you gonna back the vehicles in, or are you gonna bring them out on the dock? Or is it gonna, there's a place south of town, which I know you work, and you go by, and there could be 2 or 3 deer laying there on the dock. It's not yours, but you know what I'm talking about.
Right, no,
And I'm just saying, you know.
We do not, we anticipate the deer being brought in just like the deer brought in on Dorset Street, and that is that they have rolling carts. The farmer or the hunter brings their deer. Sometimes it's in the back of a pickup truck, sometimes it's on a flatbed. Sometimes I've seen people come in with a hatchback and raise the hatchback and pull the deer out. They put it on
a Mustang one time, just saying.
They put it on a rolling cart, and that rolling cart, gets brought in.
I've heard good things about it.
Yeah.
My nephew
Yeah.
does, and my brother has to go help him when he ever gets in.
Yeah, is there a moment when somebody could drive by and see a dead animal being pushed into the facility? Absolutely. Absolutely.
I guess
it's part of it.
The flow, because the old facility had a drive-in dock,
This,
freezer.
yeah, well, the old facility actually had, we had add-on freezers that were mobile that we had to set outside because we ran out of freezer space. We're not going to run out of freezer space in this particular dining because we're going to design it,
There's not tractor and trailers backing up.
No, there's not tractor trailer trucks going in. We got people in pickup trucks and cars and that kind of thing that will be bringing the animals in, and it's onesie and twosies, and and quite frankly, a lot of the times it is between dusk and late. I would say probably 60-70% of their animals come in after dark from the hunters. Yeah, and at least, 60 to 70%.
So how is your lighting gonna be?
I'm sorry?
Your lighting, the lighting at night?
Well, obviously, we'll comply with the city's requirements. We're not going to light up to push light over onto the neighbors. And I think, at the Dorset site, we've got an outside halogen light that's outside that doesn't spill over into the neighbors, but it provides sufficient enough, to get it in. And literally, you're talking about on a cart rolling it 10 feet, 12 feet from the back of a vehicle into the building. All of the processing takes place inside the building. There's no processing on the outside of the building. So it's not like we're hanging, you used to go out in the country and you see people hanging a pig or a deer up outside and they're skinning it. We don't do that. This is done in a facility, indoors in a facility. So the evisceration of the deer, the skinning, all that is done indoors, nothing outside.
And what are the hours at the Dorset Avenue location? I imagine
Well,
it'll have different hours.
during deer season, they run from about 7 in the morning till like 10 o'clock at night. But that's just that they're open for deer to be brought in. But I would say probably, as I said, 60, 70% of the deer come in between dark, whenever that occurs, between August and January, between dark and 10:30 or 11 at night. And, people bring deer in and drop them off and boom, they're gone. They get tagged and they get the information about the deer and move on.
What percentage at where you are now are the deer not field dressed when they're brought to you?
Oh, Jamie, they will not take deer now that are field dressed.
That are field dressed?
That are. If you have field dressed the deer, they will not take it for processing.
Okay, all right.
Because that interjects bacteria, dirt into the processing facility. They tried that the first year, 2 years, and a hard, fast rule, hunters are told up front, do not field dress that deer. Bring it to us just like it is.
Okay.
And we don't want bacteria to be entered. We don't want any of that. We've got professionally trained, folks that do the skinning and the eviscerating, and they're in the freezer or in our facility. And quite frankly, they're so adept. A deer comes in, it's in the cooler within probably 10 minutes once it comes in the door. Yeah, it's pretty quick.
Any other game?
Let's see. Well, now on the taxidermy side, Bernie is a noted turkey hunter, so he's doing a lot of turkeys, but those usually get mailed in. He's doing turkeys from people in Florida, Texas, and they'll actually FedEx them or mail them, in those frozen. And they do get some turkeys. They don't process turkey meat or anything like that, but so they'll do some taxidermy work on turkeys. They've done taxidermy work on pets. Some people
like for food processing?
No food. The only food processing that they do are deer.
So when are you doing the processing? What are your hours of operation?
It depends on the time of the year. Like when it starts off in August with bow season, it's going to be really a limited type of operation. They usually don't take deer in past about 10 o'clock at night, and usually about 7 or 8 in the morning, I think, is when they usually do. Now, for example, if you call them, you'll hear, we're not operating except by appointment only because there's no game coming in. But the taxidermy folks, they're working all the time. Just as an aside, one of their taxidermists, a young lady, she is at Southwest Randolph High School, and she will finish second in the nation at the Beta Club convention for her work in taxidermy. But it was for an art thing, and her taxidermy thing is the first time in the history of the United States that a taxidermist has won at a national level in the Beta, so that's pretty cool. But they do birds, duck. They've done, as I said, they've done pets, but all of those different types of things.
Okay. Do you have any more questions? Mr. Crumley?
I want to address the buffer.
Okay.
I noticed that, I understand what you've been saying about, it's really kind of 3 houses there on the northern part of the property. What I'm concerned about is, whoever it is, or, whatever's happened, I really think that, since you say you have the 50 feet 50-foot buffer. I'm concerned about the vegetation in that.
I am too.
And I think it would be good, like you did on your residential one. I would really like to see evergreens every 15 feet. And I looked at it with Mr. Evans, and it's about 180 feet that's kind of open. And I would really like to see you put 12 trees. It'd be 12 trees in 180 feet, evergreens, that they'll grow up. And then maybe you can say, stay off my evergreens. Maybe they'll give you a point to do that. But I really think that's just a gaping. I went out to look at it, and I went out in March. I was out looking at Haskell's Creek. We were going to do a cleanup. And I asked Mr. Nuttall, I said, what in the world is that? Because it was already clear then, because it was clear. But, and it seems like, in between times, since March, there seems to be more clearing. And there seems to be more clearing on the Kanawha side than you're indicating. That buffer does not, the vegetated buffer does not go down that far.
Where the trees stop on Kanawha, there is a line of sight clearing that DOT or somebody has done that we have not. We have not cut anything in the Kanawha side buffer at all, period. We have not cut anything in the 50-foot buffer against Amelia Court. And I've talked about this, John and I have had multiple conversations with this. This case presents a really unique public policy issue, and that is this. Screening is supposed to be designed to protect the residential neighbors. But if the residential neighbors cut on your property, your screening, are you responsible for replacing the screening that the neighbors cut on your property? And so we've been sitting here going, where do we put these trees? And how do we, do we put them in this, where the grass is on our property? Do we put them, if I plant these evergreens here in these trees, are they going to survive in these trees? Are they going to push out these trees? I mean, it's a real conundrum. I mean, I could put them further back down this way from those trees, but again,
well, you have a good,
yeah,
I mean, you have a good buffer.
Yeah.
On part of it, but then all of a sudden it's like, it's really.
But again, I agree. And if
obviously on your property.
If it's a requirement by the board that we plant some evergreens where they have cut wrongfully on our property, then we will plant some evergreens. And we will then go to these folks and we will tell them, cease and desist. We have not communicated with the neighbors at all. We haven't told them, stay off of our land, quit cutting on our land. I mean, they've got wood stacked up on our land. They've got their drainage on our land in pipes. They've got their deck on our land. We haven't said, take your deck down, right? We've said, just leave them alone. We're okay. But, if I am now responsible for what they do within this buffer zone, then I'm going to have to tell them, cease and desist cutting into the buffer zone. Because tomorrow, I could go out there tomorrow and those trees are right on your screen right now. If they could cut them down tomorrow. And if they do, am I responsible for putting them back? You see, where the area.
You're a lawyer.
I'm saying, I'm not saying from a legal standpoint. I'm saying, I'm not talking about from a legal standpoint. I'm talking about from a public policy standpoint. Is what do I do? And I haven't wanted to go in and to say to these folks, you no longer have a backyard. Because if I go to the one guy who you saw the tree with the iron pipe on the ground and the big thing and his deck is standing over, if I go in there and tell him, he literally has no backyard. And I don't know how J.H. Allen built those houses in there without cutting trees on, at that point, the Hockett's land. I don't know how, the Hamlet's land. I don't do what now?
I don't think J.H. Allen built any houses.
I don't know. I was told, but I don't know. I don't know. Maybe he did the development, but somebody else built the house.
But I don't think
But I mean, so if you tell me, if you say, Bob, we're going to approve this, but you got to put these trees in, we will put the trees in. But we also are then going to have to go to these neighbors and say, okay, look, the city has basically said that I have to provide you a buffer. You can no longer cut anything on our land. You can't mow on our land. You can't cut trees on our land because I'm now responsible for providing you the buffer that you've already cut. And if that's the case, I'm willing to live with it. I don't,
The city has to look out after the buffer.
I get it, but the buffer you're asking me to put in was removed by the people you're asking me to put it in for. But I will do it if that's the requirement.
I think that's a laudable concession.
Yeah, I will do it. I will do it if that's required.
I think it would really improve.
We will do it. We will do it if it's required. But again, it's going to require that I take the next step, which is go to these folks and say, you can no longer cut anything on our property because I'm now responsible for this screening.
That's your right.
Yeah.
Sound like you need a good
where I'm
lawyer.
coming from.
Do I now?
Sound like you need a good lawyer.
I don't know any good ones, just a bunch of them, so.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yes, this is a public hearing. You can certainly come up and speak again.
Thank you. Thank you. This is my backyard. If you look at my neighbor's backyard, 1835, and you see the property line. Okay.
You're the one with the deck?
No.
Okay, I'm just
That's
asking.
the
I'm trying to
one-
get a point of reference. I'm trying to get a point.
So, I've been there 6 years. As you can see, if you look up there, the left is wild and the right is moss. Moss is the natural occurrence under oak trees. Do we blow the leaves a little further than the property line going that way? Yeah, a little bit, but there's no cutting or anything. Looking the other way, my neighbor, right away when I moved in, I asked him, what's going on? I know my property line is the same as his, the corner stake there. And he said, I've been here for 20 years, I think he said. Don't quote me on that. I think it's 20 years, and the deck's been there for 20 years. And I said, well, at least you have new supports you can go back to if you get challenged. Is there a tree stump in that area? There could be. He's very paranoid about limbs on his house. So I wouldn't be surprised. I'm not speaking for him. But in terms as you're looking the other way, there's no tree stumps for the past 6 years. What happened before that, I can't vouch for. But there's not 50 feet from my property line. However, I will say, the trees that got cut beyond, within the 50 feet, are pine trees.
Sir.
I'm kind of happy to have gone if they're not part of the forest.
Sir, you need to address the board.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Okay.
So the pine trees, anybody can go out and measure from the property line. Trees were cut within the 50 foot. But did they really provide like a buffer? No, because they're deep woods. They're great big pine trees. There's nothing down at the eye level at all, you know. So really, what's been proposed already, if my memory serves me, the freezer was going to have 3 rows of vegetation, a large tree, a smaller tree, and a bush separating the 2 properties. So something along those lines would be great. I really don't think people have been cutting trees down, at least for the past 6 years, or clearing anything in that area other than blowing leaves that way, which doesn't need to be done, you know, if that's.
Well, Mr. Evans, can you explain what was going to be on the original? Was there going to be any more, is there going to be any added buffer?
So, I mean, the original also showed the 50-foot undisturbed buffer as well, so. But that was prior to some of the trees being cleared closer to Balfour Avenue on a good, majority of the property, so.
I'll just add, it's not atypical that you will encounter these situations as sites develop and more vegetation that may be removed than was intended, and the staff's always will take the position before any certificate of occupancy is issued for the facility, that there may very well have to be vegetation, restored and planted back as a part of the inspection process. And so I think that would have been, the approach would be if we go out there to do that final inspection and it is thin in places, well, there will have to be a plant back to satisfy the ordinance requirements. And what you propose is, it's perfectly fine, is to do it on the front end and say, for every tree every 15 feet or that 180 feet where it's thin. We can incorporate that into the conditions and know that we will be looking for that at the time of the certificate of occupancy.
But if we did nothing, what would go there?
If we did nothing, then the staff.
We didn't add anything.
Then staff will ensure that the typical buffer planting ratios within that, which is a type C, John? Type D. Actually, a type D, so the largest landscape buffer that the city requires, we will impose that on the project prior to any certificate of occupancy being issued.
Regardless of condition.
Regardless of conditions. So if we go out there and it's thin in certain places, it doesn't satisfy the standard ordinance provisions, whether there was a 50-foot buffer required or not, if it's not there when we go out there to perform that final inspection, well, you now have to plant to satisfy the type D buffer standards.
Well, that satisfies me because what I'm suggesting is the D.
It would be an equivalent, or, yeah.
But right
correct.
now, let me just say this, right now, it does not meet.
It would not appear that, yes, it would not meet the type D buffer requirements. No, ma'am.
That is already on this.
It's a standard ordinance provision. Yes,
And
ma'am.
it was on the original when it was.
Correct. And now that the time to inspect that will be at the time we are looking to issue certificates of occupancy. So either way, we will ensure that the type D buffer is on that site before there's any certificates issued.
If we put it,
If
it's required as one of the conditions.
If you
Yes.
amend the district,
We've
yes,
got
sir.
several of those that have come up tonight. So,
Yes.
if somebody's got a list.
I think you have two right now that I'm aware of. The restriction on wild game only, and then the buffer improvements.
What about the B and P site?
I think that's a good question, with the potential of stormwater, it's near Hatchett's Creek, which is in Perry Stream. We've talked about spillage. Would council like to see a BMP since you're so close to the stream? And you're increasing the pervious surface there from a natural area. I think that would be a fair requirement, just because it's a commercial structure.
Don't you have one on here?
It's shown as
It's
proposed.
proposed, it says possible. Because it came up at the previous one, and it's not thought to need one there.
And there's also a lot more pervious surface left on that site, so you've got a lower density.
Okay, anybody else? I think everybody else has. Okay.
So what would be included in wild game? What- Mr.
Deer,
Conway,
bear.
can you
Turkey.
City attorney probably answer that for you, but I mean, my assumption is anything that requires a hunting license. I mean, a cow is not wild game.
Right.
Right, and but anything that would require a hunting license to harvest. They have done taxidermy work on bears, but no meat processing that I'm aware of on bears. Turkeys.
You're only doing deer, that's what.
Deer, yeah, but because, I mean, most, whether it's turkeys or bear or even wild pigs, I mean, most of that meat is virtually unedible. I mean, you can.
Bear's difficult.
Bear is real difficult. And so the actual processing of the meat, the processing of the animal is really venison, deer.
Got it.
And since we don't have, elk hunting in this part of North Carolina, we don't have to worry about that.
Right, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else? Okay, I will close this public hearing, and we will move on to the deliberative stage. Council, we can discuss, like I said, there's several moving parts in this. Like I said, I think, you'd like to share your thoughts or concerns or have a motion.
Are you okay with conditions that was it 3 different conditions that we?
That's my documentation. Anybody got any more? Did I miss?
That, yeah.
Can we go over those?
Yeah,
It was-
let's make sure we've got.
Deer
Yeah,
processing,
limited wild game processing.
wild game processing, all right. The BMP, and the third is eluding me right now,
The level D buffer.
level D buffer.
But that's part of the normal ordinance, but if you want to put it as a condition,
Yeah.
that's fine, but it's part of the normal ordinance that we have to comply with anyway.
Okay.
But then there'll also be taxidermy done on site.
sorry, excuse me.
There'll be taxidermy done on site.
Yeah.
And potential of additional cold storage.
Yeah, we're looking at one or more buildings, so.
So that's the 5.
Yeah.
You're looking at an addition, you're gonna do different buildings or one big building?
No, we anticipate 2 buildings because the construction for a freezer is significantly different than the construction that we would do.
Slab, the whole work.
Yeah, it may very well be that we have a masonry building for the taxidermy, their processing, and then the smaller freezer, if it gets built, would be made with those freezer panels that I showed at the previous hearing.
Just to clarify,
It's a
it
very
would be within
specialized
the
thing.
footprint.
That's what I was.
With,
gonna ask.
it would be within the footprint shown. Mhm.
This rectangular
Within-
one you have.
Right, yes, ma'am.
Okay.
So that's 5.
5. And we are writing down within the footprint shown.
Yes.
All right.
Yeah, within the footprint.
And including the previous conditions.
Correct.
One of your points is it's 100 feet away, that back corner.
Yeah, that back corner's further
And
away.
if you
The back,
put 2 buildings and start moving around.
yeah,
you know,
yeah, the back corner's
You know, you
further
end up-
away from the property line than it was before.
Right.
So the action would be to approve motion 2 with those additional conditions
Mhm.
that outlined.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Mr. Duncan?
Well, I'll make the motion with those conditions. I don't know what I need to say.
Motion 2.
Motion 2, I move to approve rezoning request RZ 2609, attaching the conditions as modified. Do we need to say what those are?
They were noted in the record, right?
We'll read them again.
Okay.
Let's read them again.
Yeah, game animal processing, taxidermy, potential cold storage with a level D buffer with a BMP required, and no greater footprint than is shown in the illustrative document.
Okay.
And to adopt the plan consistency and reasonableness statement articulated by the planning board.
We have a motion. Thank you, Mr.
Just
Pugh.
real quick, in addition to the conditions as presented by staff, these are additional conditions that have
Yes.
been enumerated.
Yes.
I just
Well,
want to be
yeah,
sure that,
I had-
yeah, yes, ma'am. Just want to make sure that those conditions that had already been presented were reflected. Thank you.
We have a motion. We have a second.
Second.
Second, Mr. Burks. Thank you. Any
For the
further?
record, he agrees to all the conditions.
Yes.
Do you, Bob, do you agree to all those conditions as been illustrated?
agree to all those conditions.
Thank you. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None. Motion carries.
Thank you very much. And again, I want to say, I support the way that the staff has worked with both of these projects is a model for the way cities and counties are work with folks trying to build stuff in the community. I really appreciate it.
Well, you know the business I'm in, and we want to be a help, not a hindrance.
Oh, absolutely.
You know,
There are cities in this region, having served, as chair of the EDC, that you feel like they start at no, and it's almost impossible to get to yes. Asheboro, I think, starts with yes, but let's make sure yes.
Yeah.
And that's a much different place to start.
Well,
And thank you for
those
working with
comments.
us.
Thank you. And definitely thank you for leaving something with Clarence Smith Field over there.
Clarence Smith Field?
Yeah.
Thank you for leaving something there. Laid on that field.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Carter. Spence?
I'll be quick. Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Council. For item 7A, we have a resolution to fix a public hearing for satellite annexation of the remaining Asheboro Regional Airport property. This portion of property consists of 18 parcels. It's parts of other, that includes parts of other parcels that are already annexed. You can see is the yellow portion that's already in city limits. It totals about just a little over 264 acres, and is all around the airport. City staff has prepared the proper documentation, which is in your packet. It is a resolution setting a public hearing date for the August 6th council meeting. on the question of annexation, and staff recommends adoption for this resolution by reference.
Thank you. Any questions? Motion?
Mayor, I'll make that motion.
Thank you, Ms. Heath. Second?
Second.
Mr. Chief.
Mr. Chick. I couldn't.
Mr. Cheek.
Oh, Mr. Mills. Y'all sound about the same. Well,
It's gonna happen all the time.
yeah, I know. I had to separate you two. Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
All right, item 7B is a consideration of petition for a contiguous annexation received from Robert J. Walden and Juanita M. Walden. This is a portion of property consisting of a parcel totaling of 9,682 square feet or 0.22 acres. It is located at 204 Sterling Street. You have in your packet a resolution prepared by city staff that directs the city clerk to take the required actions, and staff recommends adoption for this resolution by reference.
Thank you. Have a motion?
Move to adopt by reference.
Thank you, Mr. Burks. Thank you, second by Mr. Cheek. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
All right. And then the staff has also prepared a certification of sufficiency of the petition. In light of the certification, we have in front of you a resolution prepared by city staff setting the public hearing for the August 6th council meeting on the requested annexation, and the staff would recommend adoption by reference.
Thank you. Do we have a motion?
Move to adopt by reference.
Thank you, Mr. Burks. Second?
Second.
Thank you, Ms. Pugh. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, council.
Thank you. Ms. Reeves, we finally got to you.
Yes, I'm so excited. Okay, you guys have three finance-related budget ordinances in your packet. The first one is consideration of an ordinance to establish a Trade North Street Infrastructure Improvement Fund. With the newest grant that we've gotten funding from the North Carolina Department of Commerce, it was important to combine our different revenue sources into one project, take some of the money that is in our SCIF fund that was designated for the Trade Street, take some money, and the other SCIF was leftover money for the Acme building that we did a technical amendment for and allowed that to be used for DAI as a subrecipient to help with the Trade Street project, to help with the utility costs for residents in the area. So this first budget amendment is combining all those revenue sources and setting up a project fund where we'll manage the Trade Street project. And it's gonna be, we'll probably have to come back to you a few times because we're gonna be tracking 3 different grants in this, and as once we sit down with Trevor and the rest of the staff on which expense comes out of which grant, we're gonna need to designate that properly, just to make sure that our accounting is very clean for when we report to the different agencies that gave us the grants. So the first one is a project ordinance to establish the Trade North Street Infrastructure Improvement Fund. I recommend adoption by reference.
So moved.
Thank you, Ms. Pugh.
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Cheek. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Okay, the next one is an ordinance to amend the State Capital Infrastructure Grant Fund, the SCIF fund, to move the money that is currently in that project fund into the Trade Street project. I recommend adoption by reference.
Thank you, Ms. Reeves. Motion?
So moved.
Okay, and I would like to say one thing, note for the clerk, is there was a typo in this, and I will have to send another copy on the first line where it says Acme Mill. It is actually 67,400. 500 is the account number, so that is a typo that the clerk will need to fix. I'll get to her before the mayor signs it so that the proper document is entered into record, and I apologize for that.
Been a motion by Mr. Cheek, second by Ms. Heath. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Okay, now the third one
You can take it
is,
if you like,
pardon me?
if you like me to take that one.
Sure.
Mayor, members of council, Randolph County was awarded some ARPA funding and they have some unspent ARPA funds, and part of their funding was designated to improve sewer in the south end of the county, including the Seagrove, Eula area. They've spent a portion of those funds, I believe it was originally $2.5 million that was set aside. We've spent about $800,000 of that, and they've got essentially $1.7 million left. They would like the city to be their agent and start making improvements to the Seagrove, Eula package plant, which is in disservice at this time and disrepair, as y'all are aware. And so they have asked that we go ahead and start that because we are a licensed ORC. That is what we do. The county does not do that. So as part of our infrastructure agreement that we signed in April, you saw a reference to leftover funding for the eastern Randolph County line. This is same project, different pot of money. And so this will create a capital project fund. If in fact, at some point, we do take over operation for Seagrove, Eula, this will be a base document that we'll probably amend month to month as funds are released from the county and the state to make improvements there on their behalf. And then could eventually be an asset to the city, and we'll keep that separate until we merge the programs together years away. So
And the
this is.
purpose is that is to keep it separate, right?
This is, the purpose right now is to keep it separate so we can track it. So if the state calls the county and says, how did you spend this money? They have all the records from Asheboro to show how it was spent. The scope of work has been partially approved. It does include, the part that's been approved includes this. The other scope amendment the county is working on to get approved, which would include automated meter reading as well as the AIA, which is the asset inventory document for all of Seagrove, Eula, totaling about $1.7 million. This first tranche of money is $185,000 to implement the most important thing, which is a SCADA system, which is an automated system where we can track those pumps. They have 6 pump stations down there, and they are not on any kind of alarm, which means they have to be manually inspected, which means an intensive amount of man hours that we don't have, and they certainly don't have. So that would be the first action item, and then the rest would go toward plant operations and improvements. And then I predict every month or every other month we'll be coming back and amending this capital project funds as funds are approved by the state in their scope amendment.
Okay. I assume it's adopted by reference.
Yes.
Okay, we have a motion to adopt that by reference.
So moved.
Thank you, Mr. Burke. Second.
Second.
Thank you, Ms. Pugh. Any further discussion, questions? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Council, y'all have the upcoming events in your packet. I would like to highlight some. The downtown series is going very well. Weather has not worked with great, but it did not stifle too much, or stunt too much of the attendance. We got the Cataleters coming to town. Any beach music fans know that's royalty in the beach music world. We got the ultimate yacht rock experience, which probably hits. I didn't realize what yacht rock was until Eddie informed me and everything. But I want.
Oh my gosh.
Well, I had an idea, but but I just never really heard it. So I'm out of touch. Okay, my kids are gone, so I don't know how to say. So anyway, that should be a great experience. But I wanted to point out, it's not on here, that a fellow by the name of Brandon Shepard will be opening for them. He is a local talent. Brandon is the one who rents Sunset Avenue every year and sells it out. And he really could use 2 nights and probably sell them both out. He can play so many instruments. He's gifted, and he also sings. And a lot of the stuff, the tracks he does the background himself, and then he mixes it all together. And I didn't know that till he said it on stage one night. So my mother said I had to tell everybody, and I told him the next time. So I said, "Dude, you got to tell that's very impressive." But he's locally homegrown, so I hope everybody will get there a little bit early and be able to support Brandon.
And here's a little known fact about Brandon. I've known him since he was a small boy. And I think I can say this because they've changed the name of the ball team from Copperhead. He was Fang, the Copperhead. There you go. In case you're wondering.
Asheboro legend.
He is also, it's not Chuck E. Cheese, but it's another one out in the Midwest. He is the voice of one of the animatronics.
Yeah.
And that's, it's pretty, he's a really neat kid, and I just hope we can get out there and support him. We got a blood drive, it's very important, and then, the other thing is on there. So, anyway, I want to say a couple things. Now, one, Mayor Pro Tem Burks mentioned to me that this lady was on the Randleman City Council at one time?
Former alderman.
Former alderman, yeah. All right. Well, we didn't know, welcome, we're glad to have you.
And I have to apologize because as many times as I've been through this, I had intentions of walking up and
Well, nobody would have known that if you hadn't said it. I also want to commend the council. This was a short meeting, supposedly on paper.
Short agenda.
Short agenda. Let me correct that. But I thought a lot of good work was done here. I like the way the council's coming together. I think this last thing, I know there was a lot of moving parts, and I think everybody contributed and got in there and got together, and I just want to commend y'all for working together, working through this, and the patience and the diligence that it showed to get through. Because we all saw that and thought, well, we'll be out in no time. But anyway, thank you for that hard work. Does anybody have any other things they'd like to add?
Just want to thank our amazing city staff. We had 75 people out for the fireworks. We had staff at Sunset Theater for the American 250 Film Series. We got a wonderful note from Chip Faust for the NAACP, thanking city staff for what they did. So we have the best staff and just want to honor and thank them.
And shout out to the water department.
Water department,
The
yes.
water department, they have been day and night getting water on after we've had some issues lately. But they're wonderful. They are wonderful. Anybody else have anything to share?
Mayor, real quick, I just want to put a plug in for the July 21st informational meeting that will be held out at the Asheboro Regional Airport regarding the pending annexation of that property, and an opportunity for us to talk to the neighbors about all the good things that are happening out at the airport.
Okay, wonderful.
That's July 21st from 5:30 to 7, floating, come at any time.
Okay.
Followed by the authority meeting.
The authority will meet starting at 7 after that.
Okay.
Workshop. Yep, thank you.
All right. Being nothing further, we are adjourned. That was weak.
Authority.
That's right.